everybody. Welcome back to The Beard and the Bald. I am Paul Shirey, the Beard, joined by my compatriot, the Bald Christopher Bumbray.
Season 2.
Season 2 begins today.
It's when things just get a little slicker. You know, it's like Season 1 was good. It was like it came out of nowhere and people were like, oh, this is pretty cool. Season
13 people.
Yeah, Season 2 is when it gets a little bit slicker. You know, the fame starts going to our heads a little bit. We start having more fights. You know,
we'll have some more. There'll probably be a couple times where we hang up on each other.
Season 3 will come back. You'll come back with like a new co-host or something like that for a while, and it won't work. And then you'll have.
And then he'll try to unseat one of us.
Yeah,
and then we'll both realize that we love each other.
Yeah,
and he has to go, or she, whoever. And it'll be us like triumphing at the end. And then Season 4, that's when we have the fucking super glam Sylvester Stallone directed episodes where it's just fucking. It's like full excess 80s rock, top of our game.
It's funny you mentioned 80s rock. Okay, so last night I was having a couple dozen drinks and whatever. I was partying.
I wondered why you didn't respond to my text quickly.
Yeah, I was having.
This is probably fucking hammered.
I was having an evening, but anyway, my buddy was talking though about he misses the excessive 80s action movies. You know, where you'd see like Cobra or something like that. Stallone would show up, you know, at a shootout in a $400,000 car, you know, spraying gas stations with an Uzi, you know, or RoboCop, you know, when the guy's robbing the gas station, he's maybe gonna get away with like $90, right? RoboCop blows the gas station up like 3 city blocks. I missed that.
That's so true. And then when he goes in to stop the guy that's robbing the liquor store, he like smashes their fucking he throws the dude into the thing, and the dude shoots up the whole fucking store. Yeah, it's like, bro, you should have just given him the fucking money out of the fucking safe, and you would have saved money.
He mentioned yesterday too, my buddy Chris. He was like, and you know, it's when he was a kid. He said he never thought twice about Beverly Hills Cop. That they're at like Beverly Hills Cop 2. They're at a gun club and they're practicing with target practice with Uzis.
Well, I mean, it is a gun club. That's where you shoot.
Never thought of that twice. You know, it's like, oh yeah, okay, Uzis. That makes sense.
I wouldn't think so. I mean, a gun range typically has crazy weapons. Anytime I've gone to maybe it's an Alaska thing. Anytime I go to Alaska, there's always like an assortment of weapons out on the range. It's always good times.
No, we don't have gun ranges here. We have like air gun ranges. Not quite
the same. Sorry. You guys just play tag.
Not quite the same. Yeah, tag. We do axe throwing. Axe throwing has picked up a lot of steam here.
Oh god, I think that's everywhere.
Yeah,
there's like axe throwing bars are like a thing now.
Yeah,
get drunk and throw some axes and try to look like Jason Momoa if you can. Yeah, you know, Bad Boys 2 is actually a good example of kind of the 80s excess coming back. It really is an ode to the 80s action movies. Well, I mean, it's complete nonsense in terms of
the bodies with the drugs being smuggled and they're throwing the bodies out at them on the freeway.
Yeah, I mean, there's like heads rolling across the freeway, and then there's the big freeway chase, and it's, you know, fucking Will Smith in his Ferrari with an automatic weapon in the fucking dash, and he pulls it out, and then he like, you know, drives real fast and spins, and he's shooting out of it, and it's just like, what fucking police force allows anybody to do that? Yeah. Besides none, which one is it? So hilarious. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's totally fun. I love Bad Boys 2 for all the fucking just outlandish bullshit that it is. I fucking love it, but it is outlandish bullshit.
I always love seeing the part in those 80s movies though when the guy goes back to his apartment like the Lone Wolf Cub, and it's always one of two things. It's either a shithole or it's like this huge loft with like motorcycles inside and stuff like that. Like and
he's always eating something ridiculous. He can never just eat something normal.
Oh yeah, well I mean,
he always has to like Cobra's like gonna cut his pizza up with a giant knife.
No, with the scissors.
Oh, with scissors. That's right. And then there's I remember what was that? This End of Days with Arnold Schwarzenegger where he blends his entire meal. He's got to go to the apartment and he blends his pizza and burger and everything all into one thing.
Oh, it has that great scene though where he shoots Kevin Pollak and he goes, "You shot me." He goes, "Oh, don't be such a pussy."
You're a choir boy compared to me.
A fucking choir boy. I haven't seen that movie in a long time. God, yeah, those
I remember that when it came out,
me too.
They changed the ending to him like killing himself.
Yeah.
because they had consulted actual like priests. Be like,
Who wants to see that though?
yeah, I mean, and then when they changed it, they're like, oh, the priests they say I would kill myself, so that's what I have to do. I have to
Dude,
sacrifice myself like
it's an
Jesus.
Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. I wanted him to blow the devil away with like a catchphrase.
Yeah, instead he like impales himself.
I just
The movie
wanted to
just
say
like
like
takes a sharp turn.
wanted to hear "Go to hell."
Go to hell.
Oh man. I was having dinner the other night with a friend, and this person who I don't think I could be friends with anymore, he somehow made it to age 31, and he told me he's never seen a Sylvester Stallone movie. How is that possible?
None?
Though?
None at all. Like,
Yeah, how is that even possible though? Like how he's never seen, and I couldn't believe it. And I was like, "You've never seen any of the Rockies?" And he's like, "No, you've never seen Rambo? No, you've never seen Demolition Man?" And
you've
he
never
said,
seen Stop or My Mom Will Shoot?
I know, I couldn't believe it. I was just like, I mean, he missed out on so much though of life, but when I was a kid, I mean, it was unavoidable. Like
Yeah,
like you
there's
go
no
to the
way.
7-Eleven and the guy'd be like, you buy like some gas and they give you like a copy of First Blood. It's like, here you go. Just always on. I mean, this stuff was just always on
Fill it
TV.
up. And a copy of Rocky 2 as well. Thank you.
Rocky 4 was literally always on TV, on cable when I was growing
But
up.
I mean,
Always
when
on.
I was a kid,
Always on.
Rocky 4 was just, it was huge. I
Yeah.
remember seeing Rocky 4 in the theater, and it was like being at an actual boxing match. Like people were standing up, clapping, cheering. It was like I kind of credit Rocky 4 as like one of those films that really
Yeah.
like affected me as like in terms of understanding and enjoying that cinematic experience of sitting in a dark room full of strangers and just watching a screen. You're watching a story, and to see people get so riled up, like you get addicted to that. And I think that's one of the things that makes me love the cinematic experience so much.
Well, I
People
mean,
complain all the time. They're like, I don't go to the movies because of people. And I'm like, no, that's why you
yeah.
do go to the movies.
Yeah.
Not everybody is an asshole. Like most people are there just like you to watch a movie.
I actually prefer to see a movie with an audience. I will enjoy the movie usually more if I see it in theaters than I would if I watched it at home, to be honest.
Whenever I go to the theater and I walk, like literally walk into the theater after I've got my popcorn and everything, that's when you find out, how packed the theater is. And every time I walk in and I see there's like hardly anybody in there, I'm always disappointed. I'm like, oh, that sucks. Because I always want to experience it with people. I don't care if people are sitting directly to the right and left of me. I kind of enjoy it. Like it's,
Mhm.
like when I went to see Aquaman in IMAX and it was packed, and I had like, there's these teenage girls sitting next to me and they were so into the movie. And it enhanced the experience for me because I just loved watching them and seeing how because I know how I react. Like
Yeah.
I already know what parts I love and whatnot, but seeing them react was like, oh wow, like that
It's
is
funny.
interesting.
It's funny how since we recorded that movie's kind of turned into like this cultural phenomenon now, though,
I
where it's
fucking
made
love
so
it.
much money. It's funny. All the women from the office that work at the radio station all went to see it on Thursday night, like a group outing, and it's like that's why it's a hit though, because it's appealing to
Because
like a different audience. They
women love
love.
it.
What? What do you think the reason is that they wanted to see it?
It's not, but here's the thing. Yes, Jason Momoa is
Yeah.
attractive to women. I saw that on set when I was on
Yeah.
set watching the female journalists react to Jason Momoa and I know I've talked about this before, but when he walked by the tent, like, because when you go on these set visits, they sit you in a tent and you kind of just sit there forever until that's like their holding area. It's like your little cattle pen. And Momoa walked by barefoot, strumming his guitar, and looked inside, and he's like, hey, I'm gonna see you guys in a bit. And every one of the female journalists that were in there, I don't even whether they were gay or straight. Maybe if they were gay, they probably got made straight right at that moment, because every one of them dug into their purse and started doing their makeup the second he walked away, and they are like giddy. And I was like, wow, look at the effect this dude has on
I mean, yeah,
women. It was crazy.
He's a pretty good-looking guy, though. I mean, I saw him at TIFF a couple of years ago. This was before Aquaman, too, when he showed up for the premiere of The Bad Batch, and like women were like hooting and hollering as he walked in, like a piece of meat. And it's like I get it. It's good for
But I did write about this. I wrote a whole article, an op-ed, or not even an op-ed, really. I did the research. I crunched the numbers, and I was looking at like why was Aquaman, such a success despite reviews being middling to bad. And people are like, oh, it's 60%. That's not bad. I'm like, if you get a 60% on a paper at school, that's a fucking D. That's not good, you know? And it was the same thing with Venom. Like, why are movies like Aquaman and Venom these fucking freight trains of success, yet critically they're either bad or just
No, but
kind of not so
you
good?
look at this. I always find though, if I look at the cinema score tells the real story because that shows what the audience thinks. I know a lot of critics hate hearing the word cinema score because it pisses them off because it's like their opinion is the one that matters and not the audience's opinion. But in fact, it's the audience opinion that actually
Completely
matters.
the opposite. It's the audience that matters. And
like it's funny. The Upside opened this weekend, and that's got an A+ cinema score. And people are all surprised that it's coming in at #1, and it's like, no shit, it's coming in at #1 though because
Kevin Hart
love it. Yeah, he's got a loyal audience, and audiences love it. It's the same thing. Aquaman had an A, so that's why it had legs. That's the thing. That was, and even I think Venom had a pretty high score too. So clearly, there's some kind of disconnect. Maybe the critics don't like it, but the audience sure seems to.
Well, and that was part of the piece that I wrote as well. Was like, what is it? Are these, the thing is, and I commonly get this argument, like when I put out because I love to remind people about the dick whacker that put out that Venom was Catwoman level bad prior to it coming out, trying to fuel that early bad buzz machine. He knows that's what he was doing too, and he'll try to fight it to the end, I'm sure, but he's full of shit. He knows that's exactly what he was doing. And that's why I continue to perpetuate that thing. I put it out on Twitter every now and again, just because I think it's hilarious. Like, this dude tried to bury this film and dismiss it because he didn't like it, and he decided, I'm gonna make this. It's like Catwoman level bad. I'm gonna share that and get everybody all riled up and be clever. And he just looks like a dumb fuck now, and that's what he is because of that. So I love to share that little graph that I take snapshots from Box Office Mojo of Venom's numbers versus Catwoman's numbers. Ain't even close, even for inflation. Like, they're fucking helling up. So the argument that you have to look at is, what is quality? Because that's the argument that I get. It's like, well, just because a movie makes lots of money doesn't mean it's quality. And I'm like, well, who decides that?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe it is. Maybe Venom is quality. I mean, it's not a question of a bunch of idiots going to see crap. This isn't Idiocracy where people are watching 90 minutes of someone's ass. This is a film that people responded to. So who's to say that the critic score is the correct score over what audiences feel?
It's also people, sometimes just want to be entertained. And it's like, it's funny because I was actually chatting about this with a friend last night because we were talking about Vice. Right? I guess you haven't seen Vice yet.
I haven't seen Vice yet. I haven't. No.
I liked it, but I didn't love it. But there was a part of Vice that really pissed me off, and it's pissed off most of the people that I've talked to. It's at the very end of the movie, at the end of the credits. There's like little
the two people talking, or the group of people's.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, this movie's slanted, and then these two girls who are supposed to be dumb, they're texting, and they go, oh, the new Fast and Furious looks so lit, and it's just like, fuck you. The thing is, what is he saying? People that go see those movies are idiots. Like, first of all, this guy, he Adam McKay produced Holmes and Watson, right? And that's one of the movies. And that's one of the, if you're talking about dumb movies, it literally does not get dumber than Holmes and Watson. So it's a little bit like, why are you making fun of the Fast and the Furious? Then why are you picking that one out? Because it's
as if like Fast and Furious is competing for Vice's type of audience. It's not. Like, they're very Fast and Furious is its own thing.
They always pick on. I notice that always directors and stuff, and they when they're saying what's wrong with the industry, they always pick on Fast and Furious. And it's like, why are you picking
Transformers? That's the other one.
Well, specifically Fast and Furious though, because it's one of the few truly diverse film series out there. Which is which plays to a really wide audience of people, men, women, children, everything. And they're entertaining, really well-made movies with diverse talent behind the scenes too. Yet these are the ones that always get picked on because it's cars, and maybe because it appeals to a culture that's a little bit different to theirs. It's not highbrow, but I mean, it's not necessarily lowbrow either. It's
no, not at all.
It's just dumb. No. It's just people are, and that was, and like that scene, I can understand why he left it in the movie too, because it rubs people the wrong way. And Vice, for what it is fine. It's no Big Short, and it's not, and it's probably the least of his films. And it wouldn't be anything without Bale's performance. That's the issue.
Well, and the other thing too is a lot of it is just kind of manufactured in terms of, like, it is a completely slanted film in that regard. In terms of, it's not a real biopic.
No, it's
because
not.
they
But
even
it never
says at the
tries to
beginning
be.
where he's like, "We just pieced this together as best we could."
It never
Uh,
tries to be a biopic either, though. That's the thing.
yeah,
It doesn't, and it kind of makes its intention, clear right off the bat too. Though they don't really say that they're doing anything else other than
it's
what they are.
yeah, it's really just Adam McKay making a movie about his politics.
Well, yeah,
That's what it is.
which
And
is
Adam McKay, he's very outspoken, leftist, anti-Trump, blah blah blah. And that's all it is. It's him. It's basically him making a movie out of his Twitter feed.
well, I like McKay, and I
I
actually
do too. Like Step
and I
Brothers
like
is one of my all-time favorite comedies. So
and I
there you
like
go.
McKay's politics. I'm actually politically pretty much in line with McKay, but it's just that rubbed me the wrong way though. That little dig at the audience because I just don't like when people tell me that I'm stupid for liking something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
because I'm really not, and that really rubs people the wrong way. And that's why I try not to do that with reviews. And it's the same thing too. I mean, I didn't care for Bohemian Rhapsody too much. I just didn't. But I know that a lot of people
I
liked
loved
it.
it.
I know, yeah, and a lot of people did. And and I was at a dinner and somebody was telling me they went to see it twice, and it's like, well, what am I going to do? I'm not going to say, oh, I didn't like it. It's not a great movie. I just kind of smiled and nodded, and that was it. And bite my tongue. What am I going to do?
Yeah,
I'm not going to try and make the person feel bad because I didn't like the movie. Who's to say I'm right anyway? That's the thing. Maybe it's just.
exactly. No, you're right.
But getting back to that though, that reminds me of what happened to the girl from 8th grade this last weekend, Elsie Fisher. Did you see that whole thing on Twitter?
Oh, is that who that? I was like,
Yeah,
who
it's
is
the
that
star, the star of 8th grade. Yeah, she's 15.
I was like trying to figure out who this girl
Yeah, yeah,
is because I did see that.
and she
Uh,
tweets, I'm so happy for Rami Malek. I love Bohemian Rhapsody, and everybody's calling her stupid and stuff. And it's like she's a 15-year-old girl who liked Bohemian Rhapsody. How is she supposed to know who the director is, and what he's been accused of doing? And it's so stupid. It's like,
well,
what
we can
way to go? Just make her feel dumb, and now she's all upset on Twitter, and she's shutting down her account and stuff like that. And
well,
it's so dumb.
Twitter is sink or swim anyway.
It's
There
just
really
it's
is.
just bullying though. It's bullying. They
It is.
bully
It
her.
is bullying, but you really got you. The bottom line is this day and age, like if you're going to use Twitter, you're going to have thick skin.
Oh yeah.
You absolutely have to have thick skin if you're going to be on Twitter because there's tons and tons of accounts that are just people hiding behind them so that they can shit talk others.
Oh yeah.
I get it all the time,
Yeah.
but like, hey, I'm on Twitter. That's my fucking face on there. That's my real name. And I'm
Yeah,
not
me
trying to
too.
hide behind anything. And same as you.
Neither am I.
Like, so, I'm there to engage people and to have discussions and to talk and to make jokes and have fun. But I also know that I'm going to catch shit sometimes, and you got to be ready for that. And if you're not, then Twitter's just not the place for you.
No.
But yeah, I mean, I saw her getting attacked, and I was just like, for one thing, how are you going to attack somebody's opinion of a movie, of something that they liked to try and take some kind of social stance on what it is? And the thing is, like, everybody wants to attack, like, oh, it's just Bryan Singer's. All of a sudden, he's a pedophile now at the Golden Globes. Now we're gonna say this. Like, the dude started directing the movie like what 2 years ago. Like nobody said shit. But here's the thing, and this is another problem of Twitter is that we do this whole like trial by Twitter thing. It's like, listen, yeah, there's allegations. Allegations are not charges.
Yeah.
Against Bryan Singer. So do we operate by a rule of law or rule of Twitter law here? Because it's fine. You can have an opinion and a stance on who and what Bryan Singer is and what these charges or accusations may or may not be. But bottom line, Bryan Singer has not been officially charged by any law enforcement for what he may or may not have done, and he has not been tried in a court of law. So you can have your opinion about that. And I know certain things about Bryan Singer, so I know certain things, but in the end, it all comes back to Alonzo in Training Day. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you can sit there and say, Bryan Singer is this, but you need to have evidence and proof. I know that that's a really hard thing to grasp for the fucking age of Twitter people, but you cannot put somebody in jail based on your thoughts and feelings on Twitter.
And,
You're gonna need actual.
Everybody's so quick now though to like find the next person to like that and it's just it is almost like a mob at a certain point, right?
Absolutely.
And that's the danger of Twitter, and that's the danger of everything. I mean, I think Singer is probably not a good person, from everything that I've heard about him. But it's like you say. I did kind of find it funny though that that movie won so many awards and nobody mentioned the name of the director.
But but here's the thing. Singer did get fired from the film.
Yes,
Like
he did.
he was officially
Still has
fired.
credit though. Still has
Well,
credit.
that all goes to DGA standards, though.
I know because he directed enough of it that the DGA brought him back. That the DGA gave him the credit. So clearly, most of the movie is his.
Yeah.
You know,
But
the
he
Live
was
Aid
still
stuff.
fired.
The part that people like the most is the Live Aid stuff, and that is, you know, for sure him.
Yeah, the Live Aid stuff, I think, you know, that if the movie didn't have the Live Aid performance to lead you out on a high, I don't think it probably would have held as much weight. I think it was a smart way to end the film.
That's what made the movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh,
All
I
right,
was gonna
so
go sit down on the couch, but my cat is taking my spot.
oh my God, you're not gonna go sit down on your couch because your cat is comfortable,
No,
Chris?
I'm gonna put my legs over him. This is
What is
gonna
wrong with you?
better. There, oh, he left. Okay.
He's so crazy.
Didn't like where my legs were going.
So it's been a couple weeks. We took a couple weeks off to kind of, really to kind of just enjoy the holidays and get ourselves kind of rejuvenated for season 2 of The Beard and the Bald. And we fully intend to continue to do the show throughout the year.
Yes, sir.
We have renewed ourselves for another year.
We successfully made our way through Carousel. Do you know that? Do you know that's from?
Carousel? No, what?
Logan's Run.
I've never seen Logan's Run.
Where you get you have to watch Logan's Run. Where you get at 30, your time is up. The crystal starts to flash, and then you have to do Carousel.
What the fuck is Carousel?
You just watch Logan's Run, okay? The people that know of our 13 fans, probably about 4 of them have seen Logan's Run, and they know what I'm talking about. They'll be reaching out to me on Twitter this week saying, "Yeah, nice Logan's Run."
It's
mentioned.
You know, there's as many movies as I've seen, and I've seen a fucking ton. There's never a time where it comes up where there's always a movie I haven't seen. It always comes up. Somebody will mention something and they'll be like, "Oh, you haven't seen that?" And I'm like, "Fuck, no."
Well, you know what I realized I hadn't seen the other day, and I think it's one of the big gaps in my film knowledge, and it's a movie that I actually own that I've always meant to get around to seeing, but I'm kind of saving it for a special occasion. Amadeus.
I'm the same. I've seen bits of Amadeus.
Yeah, me too. I feel in a way that I've seen it because I know what it is, and I saw it
younger. I was very young when I watched it, so I'm positive I did not grasp anything close to what.
I've got it on. I bought it on iTunes because it was on sale the other day for like $4.99, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna watch it." And that was just, I'm kind of saving it for a special occasion, like a good high, like a good film high,
Yeah. No,
I know it'll be a great movie, and everybody always says it's amazing. And made me think of it when I was listening to 80s All Over last week, and they mentioned Amadeus, and I was just, oh yeah, I've never seen Amadeus.
You know what we should do? We should make like a challenge for everybody. Mm-hmm. Maybe do like I don't know, 10 movies, 5 to 10 movies. We'll pick a number of like this year. We have to watch 5 to 10 of these movies that we've never seen that we should have seen, like in the gaps. Maybe we'll call it the gap challenge.
I've seen, I would say though, I've seen probably, a lot. Like that was when I first moved out in my 20s, when I was living, downtown alone in Montreal. I mean, that was when I really started going through, all the gaps in my film knowledge, and I would watch a movie a night, and I would just, and I ended up seeing so much over a period of a couple of years, and it was. So I feel like I've seen most of the big ones, but Amadeus is one that really sticks out. And, until recently, I'd never seen All the President's Men, which is another huge one.
I remember that was part of my date. I'm telling you, like, for those of us, for our listeners, like those of you guys that are younger and girls, those of you that are younger and, you're in your 20s or you're not married, you don't have kids, you don't have all. Listen, those are the years that I really. I did nothing but watch movies. And like I would go to Blockbuster when it existed, and I would just rent because like classics you could rent for like what, 99 cents and keep them for 5 days. I would get like 5 or 6 movies, and I would just have them, and I would have movies on rotation, like just constantly, And when I was in high school, I was an unpopular nerd, and I didn't have a girlfriend. I had friends, but I didn't, hang out that much. I was very much an introvert, and I would just watch all these fucking movies. I would watch everything and catch up.
I had a best friend in high school who was a really big film buff, like I was too, and he had like the 2 VCRs, so we used to dub copies of stuff. So I had access to a lot of movies when I was in high school. We mostly watched like action movies and genre.
Is this Paps?
No.
Somebody else,
another friend of mine. But anyway, it was kind of when I was in my 20s though, what happened was I lived by this video store, this little kind of mom and pop video store downtown Montreal called Movieland, right? And the thing is, they used to sell a lot of movies because they had like this pipeline with this wholesaler of DVDs that exists in Montreal that would get like stuff straight from the studio, and you'd usually get a discount, and it would be like all kinds of great catalog titles like classics and all kinds of stuff, and they'd be sold for like $4.99 each. And I bought so many of these DVDs. I used to walk out with a stack every week, and I'd buy 5 movies, and and then I'd watch them all, and then I'd come back and buy another 5 movies. And now that's why I've got, like probably 1,000 DVDs just in boxes in my storage room, just like they're everywhere. I haven't unpacked them because I don't have room for them. I live in a huge apartment too, and with my girlfriend we have like a 5.5, it's 3 bedrooms, a living room, and but I have no room for this stuff, so they're all in boxes. Because I bought so many of them, but I watched them all though when I was younger, and I love them.
You gotta get rid of the girlfriend, then you have more space. I'm just kidding. I know you love your girlfriend.
Yes.
But I have an entire house to myself, and it's fucking beautiful. I'm getting ready to hang an Aquaman poster in my living room today. Think about that.
I've got 2 James Bond posters in my living room. What's a compromise? She puts up what she wants. I put up what I want.
Guess what I compromise?
What?
Nothing.
You don't have to, I guess.
Goddamn
she
right.
She has pretty good taste, though, because I'm like looking at her contributions to the living room, and it's like a bunch of framed vinyl albums, and there's like M83 and Miami Vice and David Bowie, so that's that's pretty good.
No, and here's the thing, I appreciate that.
Similar
sometimes to have a woman's touch in your home,
it's nice.
But I can say in my previous life, I was relegated to a room, which is just not fair.
Yeah, but it's not like that here.
I was literally living in a room like my office, which was just stacks. It was just stacks of shit and I had like rolls of posters for years of buying art and prints and posters from Comic-Con and everything else, and I had nowhere to hang them or frame them or put them. But guess what? They're all over my fucking house now, and I love it. They're everywhere.
The thing is, though, when you live with a woman too, they do think of things that you don't necessarily think of, though. Like, for instance, different kinds of lamps and curtains and stuff like that. You're like, oh yeah, and plants. I've never had plants in a room before.
I have plants. I buy plants.
Now I'm looking at my plants. I'm like, you know what? These plants in the corner are actually quite nice. I'd never had a real Christmas tree until this year, until living with Laura, and it was kind of nice. They had that nice pine smell around the house. It was kind of nice to have.
See, I got the manufactured. I bought the scented pine cones.
Yeah.
And this was the first year that I ever bought a fake tree, and it was beautiful. You know how long it took me to put my fake tree away? This is no bullshit. No exaggeration at all. Less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, in less than 5 minutes, I bought one of those big bags that you store it in, unzipped the bag, and I was like, okay, let's do this. I set aside like 30 minutes to do it. I figured it would take a minute to close everything up. Dude, it was like unhatch, unplug, drop in, zip up, walk downstairs, put it in my garage. This is including the walk down the stairs and put it in the garage.
Yeah, but how about the decorations, though?
Well, I took those off before.
Yeah.
Actually, my son took those off. I had him do it. He took them off.
That's what takes the longest time.
I took them off, and I wrapped them all, nicely and stored them nicely. So, but it was beautiful, man. And I remember taking down my real tree for the last like 10 fucking years or longer. It was like always such a hassle, and it's like
sweep up the needles.
Oh my god, stuff. Yeah, there's like a whole cleaning thing, and the needles really, it's like sand. It gets everywhere.
Oh yeah, sure. I've got some in my pockets right now.
Oh fuck.
So Paul and I are going to Sundance in a week and a half.
We are. You'll definitely have more of a Sundance experience than me, because I'll kind of be dipping in and out.
Yeah,
literally. And
I looked at your lineup though. We are seeing movies together. We're seeing Velvet Buzzsaw together, I think.
I am very excited for Velvet Buzzsaw. Yeah. After seeing the trailer, I think it looks really cool. That is the Jake Gyllenhaal, Dan Gilroy movie.
Yeah.
And it's like a pseudo sequel to Nightcrawler in a way, like in terms of cast and crew. It's pretty cool.
I think I see Extremely Wicked and whatever the Ted Bundy, Zac Efron one before you do, though.
Yeah, I do want to see that one though. That one looks cool.
And then I think we're seeing Fighting with My Family together though, because that's the secret screening, and we both have tickets.
But aren't there two? There's two secret.
There is two, and it's either going to be something else or it's going to be like an encore of that. In which case, we'll just have to trade our tickets in. But I'm pretty sure that there'll be another one. But yeah, so we'll be at the premiere for Fighting with My Family. The Rock will be there, and Stephen Merchant. So that'll be fun.
Mm-hmm. How about that?
Paige.
So here's my thing about Fighting with My Family. So you know the female wrestler that?
Yeah, Paige.
Paige, yeah. So I didn't know anything about it. I saw the trailer. I didn't know anything about her. So I Googled her name. So what do you think happened when I Googled her name?
What?
So apparently she was part of that whole fappening. And there's tons of video and images of her in all manner of sexual acts. And those were like the first results that came up when I searched. So now I've seen way more than I really wanted to in terms of Paige, and it's it's a total violation of her privacy and everything, but it's like it's all there. And I was just kind of like, oh, that's weird. Like normally that's not. I just wanted to see. I was like, who is she? Because I don't watch wrestling.
Yeah.
I watched it as a kid. I just don't watch it now. I don't have anything against it or anything, but I was just like, well, who is she? And then
what a horrible thing, though. I have to say, I felt really bad for all the people that were involved in that. Though.
Yeah, for sure. It's like
scumbag.
And it's like you get trapped down these dark holes where you're like, well, what is this?
It is like true though. That stuff comes up in Google though. It's crazy.
Yeah, and then you see
and
things.
It's literally the first thing you see when you Google people sometimes, and it's crazy.
Well, that's what I mean. Like I just Googled Paige, and then I think it was like the third result. It's like the fappening, and I was like, wait, what? And so I clicked it because I do like to see naked people and people have sex. But then you're like, well, did I need to see that? No. And it's kind of like, it doesn't diminish anything per se, because this is her personal life. Like everybody has sex and does all the fucking, whatever shit they do in the bedroom. It's totally cool. It's fine. But it's like, I don't really need to see that. I don't want to see that, to be honest with you. It's like, it's almost like sometimes you be careful what you wish for, and then you're like, oh man, no, I wish I hadn't seen that.
Yeah, I never.
It's like it sticks in my brain now, like of Paige and her sex life, and that's just one of those things where I'm like, oh, wish I.
It's not her fault, though. I mean,
it's totally not her fault. She's just living her life, and it's up to her if she wants to film herself on her phone or whatever. Like, dude, fucking. I can say I hope nobody ever finds my phone. Like when I'm dead, exactly. I need a self-destruct button because people are going to get a show.
Well, it's funny. Have you seen Assassination Nation? Because basically, well, she has a very small role. She's not the star, but Assassination Nation, though, is basically that's what it's about. It's basically what happens when somebody, gets access to everybody's phones and puts all their data up on the internet so that everybody can see it. And how this whole town completely fucking melts down when that happens because everybody's got stuff to hide. Everybody. Yeah. So these
for sure.
These people melt down and it suddenly becomes like the Purge, right? Because everybody's going crazy and killing each other and and then who are we going to blame? We're going to blame this person who has a really kind of thin relation to the leak. It could be her, could not be her. Let's all kill her, and it's not necessarily her. It wasn't her, but that's like that was a kind of a cautionary tale though, because every single person has got something that they don't want other people to see. I mean, it's just it's personal.
Oh, we do.
Yeah.
Everybody's got secrets. And it's not so much like secrets, like, oh, I got a body buried somewhere. It's just like, well, this is personal. It really doesn't involve anybody.
No, it's nobody's business. Yeah, exactly.
I don't need people to know about, my sex life or anything like that. I mean, that's just not a public thing. If I did, I'd put it on Pornhub, but I don't.
So Sundance, maybe we could do some video content when we're there.
Yeah, I'd like to. I think what we'll do is we'll figure out a time to record the podcast while we're there. So we'll do like I was even thinking potentially of us doing a video podcast on YouTube and just do a live broadcast. I think that could be fun too. So we'll figure it out. We'll have something figured out by the time we get there. But we will have some content from Sundance. It'll be fun to see my buddy Chris. We're gonna get fucking drunk.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get arrested in Park City.
Oh God.
I'm just kidding. We're not gonna get arrested, but probably drunk.
Probably. Yeah, I would say that's a safe bet.
That's gonna happen. Yeah, and I'm sure my girlfriend will come out to join us for some of that as well.
Cool.
So, and to help stop us from getting arrested.
Hopefully, she can talk her way out of trouble.
She can't.
I might
I
say
mean, she's really beautiful. So she's like one of those like women that where you're like, men will just do whatever she says because she's super hot. Just be like, yes, ma'am. Yes, of course.
sure.
So yes, we got Sundance coming up next week. I'm excited. This is my first film festival. I've
Yeah,
never
really?
been to a film
Oh.
festival ever in seven. This is my
Well,
7 year anniversary.
you did come to the Ant-Man screening at Fantasia with me in Montreal.
Well, that was one screening. I wasn't there for the whole fest though, and you guys got me in.
Yeah.
So you guys snuck
Yeah,
me in.
yeah, you weren't there as press, yeah. So this will be your first one as press too.
Correct.
That's pretty cool, but oh boy, let me tell you, if you want to go see a press screening, gotta get there super early, dude, like an hour before, because they're small theaters at Sundance. That's the big pain in the ass with Sundance, is because they accredit too many people, and the theaters are fucking small. The Holiday Village, they're like 150 seat theaters. There's another one that they have now that's bigger, that has most of the big press screenings in, which is a little bit better, which is about 300 seats, but it's a pain in the ass sometimes.
And you can or cannot take like food and drink in there. I don't know.
No, you can, and almost every place. The only one is the Eccles. You're not supposed to bring food and drink into, but they're very.
Do they sell stuff too? Do they
Yeah,
sell
they
stuff?
do. Oh yeah, sure.
Okay.
Everybody does. They all do, but they're very.
I just didn't know like press.
Even at the Eccles where you're not supposed to bring it in, and that's not a press theater. That's where that's where we're seeing Velvet Buzzsaw. That they're usually, the rule is that you're not supposed to bring it in, even though they have concessions, but they're very, very, very lax about that. So as long as you're discreet, it's not really a big deal. I pretty much always bring food in to every screening.
It seems like studios are different about that though. Like,
well, no, there's no.
Like when I saw Aquaman, they were like, yeah, not, even though we had a box of Milk Duds on us, they were like, yeah, you can't have anything in here. And then I saw Alita at Weta, and they're like, you can take some water. That's it. And it was a really nice theater.
It's not like that in at Sundance at all, because it's mostly there's always concessions everywhere, and you can bring food in. And in the place where they do the press screenings, that's like a functioning movie theater, so you can get like popcorn and stuff like that.
Ooh,
yeah.
I need some popcorn Velvet Buzzsaw.
It's one of the no, you won't see. You're going to be at the Eccles though, and there won't.
Well, fuck.
But they have like pizza and sandwiches though, and it's pretty good.
That's so weird.
They have Park City has their own, Sundance has their own little concessions thing that they set up everywhere, and the food's actually pretty good.
Sweet. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. I mean, I'm excited to
nice brownies at the Eccles.
I'm excited to see some movies, to be at my first film festival, to see my buddy Chris, and to see my girlfriend, of course.
Yeah. Wow, she's third on the list. Me? Well, I'm so flattered.
Well, she'll definitely get more of my attention than you or the movie.
Oh,
so. Sorry. There are certain things that will take priority.
Yeah, huh? There's certain things that I can't do for you.
You could. I just don't swing that way, bro. Sorry. Oh. I don't think you do either. But if you do, you probably should tell your girlfriend.
Yeah.
So anyways, let's we'll move on here. We're gonna do just a little catch up, a little cleaning house on some topics. So the Golden Globes happened, and oh my goodness, I was traveling to Wellington, New Zealand, for Alita Battle Angel, which I'll talk about later on the show. And so I wasn't able to do my live tweet / live roast as I love to do. But I was at the airport and I was following along. And I probably could have done it, but I didn't have, I wasn't watching the show live, and there wasn't anywhere on the internet that was streaming it live that I could find.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like following along on Twitter, and oh my God, did I enjoy how upset people got over the wins. I loved it. I was so happy. Just seeing people melt down and taking it so seriously, like really just got me so excited, and I just laughed about it.
It's just, the thing is though, I was kind of upset too, because I didn't think that either of the movies deserved to win, even though I liked Green Book. I didn't really necessarily think either deserved it. But
you were one of the champions of Green Book from the
get-go. I liked it. I just didn't think it deserved to win Best Picture. But the thing is, it's the Golden Globes. The one that really
Hollywood foreign press.
Yeah, the one that really upset me was Bohemian Rhapsody, I must admit. But it's the Golden Globes. Who cares? They're the most.
But obviously, people do care. Otherwise, why would you be upset?
Crooked organization, though. I mean, The Tourist got nominated for best movie a couple years ago. You know, it's
Angelina
bullshit.
Jolie, Johnny Depp one,
Yeah,
right?
it's whoever throws the nicest junket or pays the nicest hotel room or whatever
Whoa! Are you
makes the
saying
rest.
journalists are paid for? Because we're going to talk about this
I'm
later.
not saying that journalists are paid for, but I'm saying that the Hollywood foreign press though is a different beast, and it's
They
really
really are a different breed.
and
Actually,
it's
the Hollywood
and
foreign
it's
press,
parties and stuff like that, and it's the whole
the
like.
Hollywood foreign press are the people that ask the worst fucking questions
Oh
at
God, yeah,
junkets.
absolutely, absolutely. But they get
Let's just be
treated like
very
royalty.
clear.
Yeah, yeah. It's because they want that Golden Globe, but it's yeah. Anyway, it
I
was
enjoyed it. I enjoyed everybody losing their shit. It was hilarious. And the people that were super disappointed that Black Panther didn't win, I enjoyed that too. I enjoyed everybody just melting down. It
God.
was
I would have taken Black Panther over Bohemian Rhapsody though, dude. I'm telling you.
See, I like Bohemian Rhapsody more than Black Panther,
Mhm.
so I'm on the opposite side of the fence there. But um, an interesting thing that I thought was really hilarious is IGN. Uh, about 2 hours prior to the Best Picture announcement, sent out a tweet with Black Panther and congratulating Black. Now, not only was it like congratulating Black Panther and just throwing up an image, it was the image had congratulations to Black Panther. So they photoshopped it in preparation to have this Black Panther fucking win. It was very reminiscent of like the Trump Clinton election where everybody was like, "Oh, we're gonna have our first female president. Everybody's ready," and they're like kicking back like it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't, and I just thought that was fucking hilarious that they sent this out. I mean, I'm assuming by accident.
Yeah.
And they like and had said Wakanda forever. Like, congratulations to Black Panther for their best picture win. So fucking funny. So of course I had to Photoshop that and put
I didn't think that they were going to
Mercury's
win
head
though.
on.
I honestly thought A Star Is Born was going to win, but anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really feel like any of those movies, even though I really liked Bohemian Rhapsody. I also don't think I gave it like an 8 on 10, which again is that's just a number, but it's also a level of how much I loved it, and I think
It's
that
not a best picture.
no, it was in my top 10 for the year. I saw it 3 times, but it's not top of the list. It was just something that I really enjoyed.
The one I
And
wanted,
fun with.
the one I would have voted for wasn't even nominated. First Reformed, and Ethan Hawke is Best Actor. First Reformed wasn't even nominated.
That's what I was looking for yesterday. Fuck.
Yeah,
I was looking for. I wanted to watch something I hadn't seen, and there's a
on the plane.
couple.
Yeah.
And no, on here at home because they put up a bunch of new stuff on Amazon Prime, and First Reformed is on there. So
Oh,
maybe
cool.
I'll watch it later today or tomorrow.
Heavy duty, heavy movie.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to it. But yeah, everybody got upset. I think some people wanted black. I saw Black Klansman on the plane yesterday or 2 days ago. I guess whatever. Fuck. I was traveling for 24 hours, literally.
Yeah.
Like 24 hours in the plane. That doesn't even account for the time between flights.
And Coach.
So
I assume.
no, I had first class on the way back just because for Alaska Airlines I'm like a gold member just because I always use them.
Oh, cool.
So I got upgraded to first, but I had to buy a ticket or buy a seat upgrade from Australia to LA, and I still got saddled and like fucking smushed into a tin can for 14-hour flight, and I was like, oh my god,
Yeah,
no.
awful. Yeah, I know.
So I take what I do now. This is a little traveler tip for everybody. Take some melatonin with you. You could take Ambien, I guess, if you want to, but I just take melatonin. And people are like, oh, I just can't sleep on a plane. Take some melatonin. You're gonna fucking sleep.
Yeah.
So don't give yourself the option of not sleeping. That's why I just take the melatonin. I slept for 7 hours on a 14-hour flight, and it was beautiful.
I try to do that too. I try to sleep as much as I can. I buy a window seat so I can put my head against it.
Yep.
I try to sleep as much as I can, just because it's awful. I hate flying.
Yeah.
It's just it's one of those things. I used to love it when I was a kid, but now it's like, yeah.
I don't mind it, but I can say this, that like you get to a point, like when I was getting on that 14-hour flight and I was in the middle of it and I was like, and I still had another 5-hour flight ahead of me,
Let me
plus
off.
a 5-hour layover. I was like, you get to a point where you're like, why the fuck do I do this? Like why, like, Jesus fucking Christ, I've lost 2 days of my life in the air to go do this. I think it's worth it. Don't get me wrong. Like when you look back, but you're like in the midst of that experience, you're like, I'm not, you start thinking things like, I'm never traveling again. This is it. I'm done. I'm taking the year off. You're like, you get to a point where you're like, this fucking sucks. But it's over now, and I can kind of put it behind me. But man, those flights like that just are the fucking worst.
Yeah,
They really are. Just the time, and it's not so much it's not the people or anything like that. It's just the experience. Like 14 hours on a plane is not fun.
It's a long time, dude.
It really is. And your legs are locked in and you're just, and it really is a saving grace for to be able to watch movies and catch up. So I watched BlacKkKlansman, which I enjoyed, even though I really feel like Spike Lee gets in the way of himself every time. It's like he starts to make a good, I dare say, commercial movie, but then he just gets in the way of himself and he has to go. It's like he's like a filmmaker that can't get out of the student filmmaker mode.
Mm-hmm.
He always throws in these things that are like something that a student film would have. Like the end where he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna tie this together now. I'm gonna find. Let's see here. Oh yeah, here's some racism, and I'm gonna put a flag upside down and make it black and white, and leave you with something." And I just feel like he kind of got away from the movie. It's a little disjointed. Some great performances. I really liked Denzel Washington's son. I thought
John David Washington.
I thought he gave a really nice performance. A good stepping into the game performance. I thought Adam Driver was great. But then you got to the end and like he's Spike Lee goes into like news footage of like quote unquote current events, and I'm like, I thought this was about the cop. I thought this was about him. Like I wanted to know more about the cop. I wanted to know why. I would have liked to have seen like why he wanted to become a cop, like see maybe something from his childhood or whatever, because he's like, I always wanted to be a cop. Okay, why? Like, why did you want to be a cop? Because you never get to that about this guy. So I was invested in the guy, but and I think Spike Lee was like, well, yeah, he's interesting, but I want to make it more about racism as a whole. Like that's the star of the movie. I'm like,
yeah,
well,
that's his aesthetic though, and it's kind of.
Oh, I know his aesthetic.
You have to either go with it or not, and I think sometimes it works, and I think it really worked for BlacKkKlansman, but then sometimes it doesn't. Like one that
I think it worked until the end. It was the end where he left it off. Like normally I'd expected like, okay, so what else did this guy do? Normally you would have like some on-screen graphics that say, oh, so-and-so went on to do this and that and like where they are today. Instead, it's like, it's so jarring. He cuts to like footage that really just feels like kind of manufactured. I know it's not manufactured, but you know what I mean? Like, it's almost like it's totally something way off course. I'm like, wait a minute, you're getting off course of the movie here. You're trying to tie it to current events, but it's not really. And I'm just like, I didn't.
For me, I really liked it. I mean, it's funny. I like Spike Lee as much as I dislike him sometimes. Like when I dislike a Spike Lee movie, I tend to hate it. Like Miracle at St. Anna's, but which should have been a great movie. But then I really liked BlacKkKlansman quite a bit.
I liked it. I thought it was one of his better movies.
Like
it's definitely one of his better movies without question. Again, I'm just complaining about literally the last 2 minutes. I thought were just more cheesy than anything. It was like kind of
cheesy. Speaking of cheesy, so there's no Oscar host this year, it seems.
So Kevin Hart has gone back and forth. He went on the Ellen show, and Ellen was like, "Well, Ellen's like, I called them, and they said, they would still love to have you." And he was like, "Oh, well, maybe I'll give it some more thought." But apparently, that still didn't come to fruition. And the truth is, Kevin Hart doesn't need the Oscars. No. He doesn't need that gig. It's very clear he doesn't need that gig. Like, why waste your time if they're going to be succumbing to everybody digging through your tweet history.
I mean, whatever it is hasn't really damaged his career because, the Upside opened at #1 this weekend and nobody was expecting that to do any business. So,
and not only that, but the Upside was made 2-3 years ago?
2 years ago. Yeah.
Fuck. Kevin Hart don't need the Oscars. No. So the Oscars are now apparently scrambling to figure out a show or how to put the show together without a host.
Yeah.
And I guess they're trying, one of their strategies, whether or not they're continuing with that or not, I don't know, was to get as many Avengers as possible to lead the show, which is kind of smart, but kind of like, okay, I guess. So I guess rallying all the stars from the MCU as presenters is their course of action. Or
I mean, ABC is owned by Disney though, so it could happen.
So I guess that's their course of action now. It's like, I don't know. It's like, it's such a joke that the Oscars can't take a joke, or that the Oscars is ruled by fucking social media in that way. It's like, why can't you just commit to something. I think that's one of the things is everybody is afraid to commit anymore or to just do something because they're just so afraid of the backlash. And what is the backlash? Let's look at that for a second. What is the backlash? The backlash is a bunch of tweets. That's what people are fucking afraid of. That's what the Oscars are afraid of, are a bunch of tweets and digital pitchforks. Everybody is afraid, just like we were talking about this girl from 8th grade. What's her name? Elsie Fisher?
Yeah.
They're afraid to just tell people to fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm sure the Oscars like, well, it has to do with money and it has to do with sponsors. I'm like, well, that's your own problem. That's your own fucking lack of backbone and your own fucking, you're ruled by whatever corporation owns you, ABC in this instance. It's like, but we've forgotten to tell people to go fuck themselves. And that is truly, I think, what the problem is right now in the world, not this country, the world, because Twitter is universal and not Universal Pictures, the world. But we forget to just say, hey, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Just fuck you.
You know, it's easy. But, you know, the thing is, though, if people do that, though, if Elsie Fisher had done that, you know, it has adverse reactions on people's careers, though. People's careers are ruined by a bad tweet or a tweet that doesn't go down right, you know. So I can kind of understand why people want to be cautious. And, you know, the whole Academy thing with Kevin Hart, you know, I mean, if Kevin Hart had just said, I'm sorry, it would have been fine. And he's said it since, but it's just, you know, the lead up to it was so tortured. You know, it's just,
but even after he says it, it's still not good. Like, people still aren't appeased. They're still like, no, not good enough. Like, what is good enough exactly? Like, what do these people want? Like, what would actually appease anybody? No sorry is ever good enough. And that's another huge problem. I know we've discussed this before. This is, you know, not our first rodeo on the topic, but sorry's not good enough anymore. And, you know, we raise our kids to say, hey, if you do something wrong, you need to apologize.
Yeah.
Like, why? I'm not going to tell my kid, don't apologize anymore because nobody's going to believe it. No, it's not going to be good enough. You need to in fact, you just need to go kill yourself. That's what you're going to have to do. That's the only thing that's going to please people. Because people have, like, we've seriously regressed as a society via social media into basically fucking lynch mobs. It's exactly what we've become, only on an online platform. Like, what do they fucking want from Kevin Hart? Like, what do they want? Like, there's some dickhead from, oh my God, what is it? One of the fucking websites. I can't think of the name of it, but he's like very outspoken against Kevin Hart because he's gay. And he's like, oh, you know, Kevin Hart needs this and he needs to do that. He needs to apologize. And you know, he's like calling, you know, for him not to host the Oscars and all this other stuff. And he's basically, what do you exactly want? You want him to go away forever and just never have a voice? Is that what we're saying? Because he made a few like gay slur remarks that he should be shunned out of society and take his career taken away, money stripped from him and everything because he made some bad jokes or even some bad insults that were actually using gay slurs, which I can tell you very much so. I think most people that are like over the age of 30 have probably done that before it became socially unacceptable to do something like that. We've all said and done things that are not acceptable anymore. And most of us, we grow and change with that. We don't do it anymore. I don't do it anymore. You know, but when we were younger, we said certain things that would not fly today.
Yeah.
At all. But I just don't understand, what is it that people want? If an apology isn't good enough, what do they want? You know?
At any rate, the Oscars can't possibly be worse than the 1989 version, which was the last Oscars that didn't have a host. Do you know what the 1989 Oscars were? That was the year that the Snow White. That was the Snow White year where, you know, she came up and she did the whole musical number with Rob Lowe, and it was terrible. It's on YouTube.
Oh yeah, God, that was bad.
She goes up to Michelle Pfeiffer at one point to say hi, and Michelle Pfeiffer literally cringes. There's a look on Kevin Kline's face. And he's like, what is going on?
Whose idea was that?
Yeah, seriously.
Whoever that was, they're not allowed to have a career anymore.
Alan Carr, man, it ruined his career. It did ruin his career because it was
so good justice. I'm just kidding.
Moving on, let's move past the Oscars and the Globes and awards and
stupid golden trophy. Speaking of which, though, I will give a quick plug. The announcement article for the Golden Schmoes, the JoBlo Awards every year going up this week. So one thing about the Golden Schmoes is that you guys truly decide everything.
Yep.
There's no tiebreaker in here where I'm like, well, you know what? I'm going to decide for this. I actually run it. I collect all your votes. I tabulate them. Even I sit here with a calculator and I fucking put all the numbers together. I go through all the data, and the whole thing is like I want it to be like 100% the fucking readership. But one thing I do watch for though is people that try to game the system, because there are people that try to do that, and it's very obvious. So I can take those out, but which is why we have like a human look over the data. But ultimately, it's all you guys. So you can't bitch and complain. You're bitching and complaining at yourself. That's what I love about the Golden Schmoes, is that it is completely up to you guys who wins.
Yeah.
You can try and keep it, but I'll catch you. But overall, if you just vote, your votes will be counted, and you'll have your own award show for that matter. You know, so you have to live with whatever gets voted, and we will have. I know it's very not cool, but we will have best TNA of the year.
Oh boy.
Vote. Because we like tits and ass.
Did you end up seeing Bird Box?
I did.
What'd you think?
I thought Bird Box was very entertaining, but it's so fucking silly. So silly.
Oh, sure.
Just silly. Like, a lot of it didn't really add up, and it kind of felt low rent in places. Like when they were in the house with John Malkovich and everybody, I felt like the quality of the film, it felt more TV. It felt like the whole show or the whole movie, again, why I just said it showed, because it felt like a pilot for a show. And it didn't feel quite as cinematic as I thought it would. But I thought it was interesting. I thought Trevante Rhodes gave a really nice performance. I really liked his character. And Sandra Bullock, she did a good job. She normally does. But it was interesting. It was a compelling idea. It was fun. I totally get the hype, but it was so silly. Just beyond silly. And a lot of stuff you're just like, why? There's a lot of like, why did they do that? Where it doesn't really add up.
I liked when it turned out that John Malkovich was right about everything.
I knew that was going to happen.
Why didn't you guys listen to him? He was right.
I just knew it because they portrayed him as like, oh, he's an alcoholic asshole, and all he cared about was the safety of everyone. If you really look at it, and his intentions were completely clear, even though he just wasn't nice about it.
Yeah.
But he was. Yeah, I knew that was happening. And as soon as like he's like, you need to send that fucking guy out of here. And they're like, no, but he's like, he needed somewhere to go. And he's like, that motherfucker needs to go. As soon as that happened, I was like, oh my God, he's going to be right about everything. I know it. And he was. So it's interesting more than anything of the cultural phenomenon.
Okay, but let me ask you, is that real though? Is that real that people are, or is this just some kind of really good viral marketing from Netflix? Like that's the thing I'm not really clear about.
Maybe it's both.
Because I feel like it's maybe started as that and then became something else, and it's weird, but it's so dumb. It's like let's drive a car blindfolded. Okay.
I don't understand why people would want to do that. I think people were kind of fucking stupid. Like those people that are setting themselves on fire on YouTube. Like what the fuck is wrong with you? Why would you do that? Like why would you set yourself on fire? Are you fucking stupid? Like, I mean, you hear about the girl that set herself on fire, right? And she's like got 3rd-degree burns over her whole fucking body now.
Why did she do that?
You're like, why? Why would you do that? It's dumb.
What was the deal? What was the purpose behind it?
There was like people they put like I think it was rubbing alcohol or something on their skin.
Oh my
and
God.
They set it on fire and then it like supposedly does not burn them. And so she was watching it just in her
Why
room.
would somebody not think that would burn them though?
And then but I mean some people were doing it, and whatever they were doing, they weren't getting burned. Maybe they were putting some cream on or some shit. I don't fucking, because I would never do that. I would never investigate that further.
No, I
burn myself. But this poor girl set herself on fire.
Playing with fire and alcohol, it's not a good idea.
I mean, how bored are you? Go outside. Get away from the computer.
Build the treehouse.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I guess people now, they're like, oh my God, look at this. In this movie, they have to wear blindfolds and like walk around. Let's see if we can put on blindfolds and walk around and see what happens. And like fall downstairs and fucking, impale themselves and wonder why it didn't work. It's like, because it's a fucking movie. Stupid fuckers. But I do think it's interesting, like how wrapped up people are in Bird Box. So my girlfriend watched it, And she said she was like legit, like scared, like freaked out over it, and was like, scared in the house. Don't be mad at me because I'm saying this. If you're listening, which you are. But she said she was like really freaked out, and I think probably a lot of people were. But I did not find anything scary about it whatsoever. Um,
Yeah,
it, it was
I
definitely
wasn't scared by it, but I was very entertained though. I did find it very
totally
entertaining.
totally entertaining movie. I
Yeah.
get I it's one of those movies where like I didn't love it, I think, like a lot of people did, but I absolutely understand why it's like that. And I think too, even like Sandra Bullock wearing like the blue blindfold, I think that is a standout. It's like peacocking in a way.
Oh, and
Like,
that's yeah, no, it's an arresting image. Like it was,
yeah, so you
I have to
it's
say the
memorable.
marketing for that movie was top shelf, right? Like
Yeah.
Netflix really has. It's funny. It took them a while, I think, to be able to figure out how to market their homegrown movies, like the Netflix original films. But I feel like now they've really kind of gotten the swing, gotten like a good hand on it, because their movies are starting to do really well. I mean, Bird
Yeah.
Box did extremely well, and it was funny because what's cool about Netflix movie though, and it's the same thing with like Velvet Buzzsaw, is that the trailer will drop and it's like, hey, this is coming out in 2 weeks, and it's
Yeah.
cool. It's like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
ready. You want to see it? Well, it's coming out, and that's the kind of thing though. Like I find that genre in a weird way, like that kind of weird genre, like half genre, half not genre, like that's kind of the sweet spot for Netflix, I think. And it's funny, it's these kind of semi non-commercial type things that's like turned into a really interesting niche though for Netflix, because if you look at their most popular movies from everything that I've read, um Bird Box I think is by far the most popular, but they also had To All the Boys I Loved Before, and a couple other movies like that, which are rom-coms, and,
Right.
and rom-coms they don't make anymore. But Netflix is cleaning up on them, and they're also kind of cleaning up on the elevated horror thriller type thing. Like I feel like Velvet Buzzsaw will be another one for them that's going to probably do really well, because it's got a really well cut trailer too, and
Yeah, and it's like a high concept kind
yeah,
of horror movie. With I guess it's horror. Looks seems like more like horror thriller, but it just looks really fun. And I think that's
yeah.
like what Bird Box just looked fun. It's like these great high concept kind of movies that they're doing, but they do all kinds too. That's not just those. But I agree with you. I think that they really got a grasp on that marketing, and I think again, just the simple thing of having her wear a blue blindfold that stands out, it creates an iconic style image. I think you're
Yeah,
going to see this Halloween, you're going to see a lot of Bird Box
yeah,
costumes.
and the fact that you got that, on the main page of Netflix, and you see that, and it's kind of, and it is like you say, like it's intriguing. It's a
Yeah.
person, who's an icon, Sandra Bullock, and the blindfold, and you're like, oh, this is cool. This is an
Yeah.
arresting
And
image. I
then
want
it's
to
and
click
then
on it.
it's immediately you're like, oh, that's Bird
Yeah,
Box. So
and the
and now
movie,
and
and also, I think what's really important is the Netflix movies. They always have to start out really good, because you're gonna abandon it.
yeah.
You're
Oh
just
yeah,
gonna
that's
press
true.
stop, because that's what a Netflix movie you can do on Netflix, because you're not really paying to see it in a way. So you'll turn it off, and that's so they always have these kind of real, like, and Bird Box is like that too. It pulls you right in, where she's, it's in the
Yeah.
she's talking to the kids, and she goes, if you don't listen to me, I'll hurt you. And it's kind of, you're like, oh yeah, right away I'm kind of invested in what's going on,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
and
Yeah. It was
and there's
easy
a
easy to
big
invest in. Yeah.
and a big surprise at the beginning of Bird Box too, like an actress, somebody dies that I didn't think was going to die, and that was it. It pulled me right into the film, and there was some really kind of cool imagery. I don't know if it's necessarily the best movie. I don't think it's necessarily as good as A Quiet Place or Annihilation or anything like that.
Nah,
Those,
nah,
or
nah,
even
nah.
Hereditary. But I did really like it though. I had a really good time watching it. I watched it very hungover on New Year's Day. It was lying down with my girlfriend. It was nice, and it was on the couch, with a pizza, and it was nice.
Yeah, it was fun. And you know what? I think if Netflix is smart, which I think they are, I would be fast tracking a sequel. I think even though it's based
I
on a book,
feel like that's gonna happen though. Like it
but it
seems like the
should. If
ending of that
it's the
was
smart, it's a smart way to go. And there's so many directions. I don't know that I don't know this, and I haven't looked it up. If there's a sequel to that book, but if there's not, that really opens up the door for them to like
yeah. There's
really
there's not.
explore.
They'll be able to do something with that. I'm sure they're gonna make a
So
sequel.
I hope they do, and honestly, I hope they show those little creepy fucking baby creatures that they made and shot for the movie that they cut out because I want to see the. And I think
It's
that was the
almost
one where
better
it's like,
without that though.
yeah, but
I
it's
like,
like it's
yeah,
hard to be afraid of like the wind.
but I like that it's ambiguous. That was kind of anyway.
I don't know. I want to see those little freaky babies. You saw them, right? You saw the pictures
No,
of them.
I didn't look them up. I didn't want to
Oh,
see them.
they're
I felt like if I took a look, it might kind of kill the movie for me. So
maybe that's why I wasn't scared because
yeah,
they're freaky looking. They're like little freaky like babies. But that's why I think they could be cool. I think they kind of remind me of like the creepy baby from Passion of the Christ, just
oh
with
god,
more veins, which that's pretty scary. That's scary stuff, bro.
it is scary stuff. It's a scary movie.
So, this past week I was in Wellington, New Zealand,
Mm-hmm.
visiting Weta workshops,
Hello.
and went to go see Alita Battle Angel, and to have this. I will say probably one of the most memorable experiences from my career. Interesting enough happening on my 7-year anniversary this month
Oh wow.
with JoBlo.
Oh cool.
And it was really cool. It was a really awesome experience, and it was crazy. So let's talk about it. So I left here, Alaska, where I live, in minus 10 degrees, I think, here, which is, below freezing, and flew to Wellington, where it is summer. So that was already a little treat. To be in the sunshine, which is the first time I've had that level of sunshine on my skin in about 2 months. And it was a pretty small group. It wasn't a huge group. Um, I want to say maybe 20 to 30 journalists were there. Um, and it was pretty cool. So we went to Weta workshop, or Weta Digital rather. First thing we did was watch the movie. And then after we watched the movie, we had lunch, and then we just we hung out. We talked to John Landau, who's the producer, also the producer of the Avatar films, and he's very invested and involved in the film. And then the next day, we was just insane. We did some stand-ups. I did a stand-up like out in the mountains in Wellington, and um, we came back to the studio and we did an actual mocap performance. So I had to squeeze into a mocap suit, and they have like a crew following you, kind of like a reality show type thing.
Sure.
And the first thing was me squeezing into this fucking suit. Like, I'm a bigger guy,
Mm-hmm.
and like, I'm not like a skinny rail. Like, I have muscles and I have some fat, and I'm a big person. I'm not tiny. And I'm squeezing into this suit. And you ever want to find out what areas you really need to work on at the gym?
Yeah, yeah,
Put
I
on
know.
a
Oh
mocap
god.
suit.
Yeah. Ugh.
And the guys, they were like, and I told them, I was like, well, yeah, I'll need an extra large suit.
Never
And they
eating
had,
again.
yeah, and they had a large for me. And he's like, well, we'll just try the large. Try
Oh
the large
god.
then. And I was like, oh my God, dude, really? Why can't you just give me the extra large? Like, fuck. So I'm not even joking. Like, I am squeezing it like fucking sausage in a fucking skin here, like squeezing into this fucking suit. And after it was on, I was like, oh my fucking God. Like, you're just like, oh, you're like, everything that like you want to be in a certain place is not there, and you're just like,
Gonna
oh,
do
this
gonna do
sucks.
some cardio.
Yeah, I mean, I work out 6 days a week, man. Like,
I
I
know, yeah.
fucking bust my ass, and I'm just still, I'm
I
like,
work out about 3-4 days a week myself.
and I'm like,
My
oh God
girlfriend
damn,
works out pretty much every day. She's on her way to the gym right now.
nice. Yeah, I'm gonna go to gym later, but yeah. Anyways, if you ever
Well,
want to
I'm taking
like,
an off day because I have a TV spot to do, so it's a very important person, and I'm doing this podcast with you.
this is very very important.
Yes.
So, anyways, I
I
had
did a
to step out.
class yesterday. I'm good.
All right, good boy. So I step out and I got this crew. So I just kind of like, I had fun with it. I was a little self-deprecating, and, I was self-conscious at the same time because I'm like, God damn it. Like, you want to look your best. And I'm like, but here's the thing. You can't let that stuff rule your experience. And it's really just pure ego bullshit anyways. But, so I'm standing there, and I'm in this suit, and then they go and they scan you. So it really is fascinating, and I gotta look into this. And you'll see all this is all be on video, and I'm gonna do a whole fucking thing that I gotta edit and put together. There's tons of footage for me to work with here. But they scan you, So they like literally you go stand on the stage and they scan your whole body and you have to stand a certain way, and then they just have you move. You have to move around. So I was like doing like karate shit, like kicking and punching and doing all kinds of weird shit. And so they're scanning you to catch your movements, and that's how they track you. They track you with all these little dots that they put all over you, and that's how they track your movement, and they like record your body. It's fascinating.
It sounded like
So
a
then
pretty cool experience, though.
oh, it was that was just the tip of the iceberg. So then you go from there into the studio. And what they have, and this is at Weta Digital, they have they had a whole set that was built, but it was like a digital set of the underground, which is in Alita, which is like under the city where they go underground.
So he
There's, like,
didn't shoot it in his basement then.
no, no, they shot most of it at Troublemaker.
Oh, cool.
But they also shot stuff in Wellington as well. But so I go into the studio room and Robert Rodriguez is there with his guitar, and the whole, they have a whole crew and everything. There's two other people in mocap suits that are helping you along. So they have one person playing Gruishka, who's the main villain, played by Jackie Earle Haley. And this is like a local guy dressed up playing Gruishka. And then they have another guy that's just kind of like a hero guy with you that's supposed to, you walk through this platform and you're walking through the underground, and then you confront Gruishka and then you fight him. So that's what I did. I went out there and they're like, okay, so what we want you to do, you're going to punch him right, left, you're going to kick him, and then you can do whatever else you want. You can hit him with this guitar, you can throw this rock at him, like whatever you want to do. And I was like, fuck, I wouldn't do all of that shit. So that's what I did. I walked through this thing.
And they gave you the video?
I haven't gotten the video footage yet. I have the footage of me in my fucking sausage suit, walking down and doing everything. I just don't have the video of my character. So that's the other thing too. You choose to be either Aiza Gonzalez's character or this other like creepy Joker dude that has knife hands. I chose to be him. And they show you the video of you watching yourself. So I was literally standing in front of this screen and moving, and I was this character moving. Like, it was wild as fuck. And so I fought Gruishka, I fucking punched him and kicked him, and I smashed him in the head with a fucking on-fire guitar and threw a rock at him. And the whole time I'm doing it, Robert Rodriguez is directing me and walking with me, playing his guitar in a guitar soundtrack. He's like, I'm going to play music for you. And he's playing the soundtrack music for the whole scene that I'm walking through. And that is just beyond amazing experience.
Cool, but what I want to know is, how was the movie?
So here's the thing. I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was super fucking cool.
And it seems like most of the people enjoyed it, though, because I'm looking at the reactions now, and it seems like people, by and large, mostly liked it.
Most people
not
liked
always
it.
The case.
There was a couple people that didn't get into it as much, but they still appreciated like the digital aspects, because that is a fascinating part of it. Like the whether you love the movie or don't, it's hard to argue that like the effects aren't pretty fucking amazing, because they are. So, and I know there's like one person that was kind of meh about the movie, but for me, I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was super fucking cool. I really look forward to seeing it in IMAX. I want to see it like on the biggest screen possible. And it's a movie that you need to see in 3D because it's shot natively in 3D. So it's made for that. But what I really liked about it is that Alita is very much a James Cameron character.
Yeah.
She's not like this fucking Mary Sue robot. She's not a robot to begin with. She's a cyborg, which is half human, half robot. But she doesn't just pop into the movie and is just like a badass. She's like flawed. She's questioning herself. She's trying to like figure out who she is. And she's like a teenager. Like, she's like got this young mind, and she's like susceptible to all the kind of, the negative aspects that come with being a teenager. Like you get arrogant, or you make bad decisions, you do things, and she is shown as that, and she experiences it. The movie, very much like most Cameron movies, has like this love story aspect to it that it actually works, and it works in a weird way, in that you see Alita kind of like, how like when you're young and you fall in love and you do stupid shit.
Yeah.
you see that, like, she almost becomes in a way kind of like a psycho girlfriend in a way, which is like, so I thought was great, because you're like, wow, this is interesting. I never expected the movie to go in this direction. I really, maybe that was part of my enjoyment, is it's not that my expectations were low, that I thought it was going to be bad. It was just that I didn't really have a lot of expectation for what it would be, so I was kind of open to what it would become.
And the eyes thing you were able to get over, like that was fine.
I
I don't have a problem with it either, though. Watching the trailers, I find like I'm kind of used to it now, having seen the
see,
trailers.
I mean, I'm not a huge anime or manga fan,
Neither am I at all.
but I understand why they did that. It makes sense, because that is the aesthetic of that character in the comics. It makes perfect sense. And here's the thing: everything hinged on Alita working in this movie.
Yeah.
And she does. Thankfully, she does. She is a well-rounded character. She's not just a fucking, she's not just some ass-kicking robot. Like, she is very much, like, dare I say, human. Like, you actually get into her story, you get into her journey. And again, she's somebody that you're like, oh my God, like, why is she doing that? Like, it's a bad decision. And then there's times where she's like, oh, fuck yeah, she's, that's what I like. There's growth. It's a journey for this character. And this is very much an origin movie. And the issues that I ended up having with the film were ultimately that I wanted more, which I think is a good problem to have in the long run, is that it ends in a way that's kind of like almost like a cliffhanger. And I didn't expect that. And I was kind of like, well, fuck, I want to see more. I want to see, like, what happens next. And then there were a few scenes that and a few characters that I think could have been fleshed out just a bit more. But ultimately, in the end, I was like, wow, that was really good. Like, that was really fucking cool.
Yeah.
And there's some really great fucking action sequences. There's one where you've seen in the trailers where she fights Gruishka, who is the big hulking dude played by Jackie Earle Haley. And the way that scene ends, you're probably not prepared for, which is, it's both cool and shocking at the same time. And the violence is pretty dark. It's not bloody, like super bloody, like you would expect from manga anime, because it is PG-13, but this is definitely a harder PG-13.
How is Christoph Waltz?
Christoph is good. He's fine.
That's
he's Christoph Waltz. He doesn't really bring anything spectacular to it. He is, he's relatable, and I think he plays the role well. But it's not like Oscar winning. Mahershala Ali. This is more of like a fun kind of villain role for him. So it's more just like a fun role. That's not something and he's not like a seething type of villain. And there's more to his villain character than they've revealed in the trailers. And there's also a bigger villain, who I won't spoil. I'll just let everybody see. It's actually a name actor that's playing the main villain. This kind of more like behind the scenes, who is revealed in the film, but I don't want to spoil that.
They haven't said who it is yet.
No, I don't even think it's on IMDb.
Cool.
And there's another reveal of a character that's in the motorball sequences, which is Jai Courtney, and it's more of a cameo because he's like the star of Motorball, which is like the game of this place. And
the red hot star power of Jai Courtney was in that movie.
The red hot. Well, so he's teased as like one of the main cyborg like leader of Motorball, which is like the champ, and Alita has to defeat him in order to get up to the main place. I can't think of the city. So there's like the main city that's above. That's like a floating city, and that's where everybody's like trying to get to. It's like, that's supposed to be like paradise or whatever. And they never show anything from up there. So that's part of like the continuation, because like Alita has like 20 graphic novels. There's like, the story's huge. So and this is very much a piece of that puzzle. So there's a lot to reveal, but the motorball sequence is really fucking cool. Lots of there's just a lot of like good action. Like, the action in this is really good, and I think a lot of it comes down to Rodriguez's attempt to make a James Cameron movie, not to make a Robert Rodriguez movie where he's playing every role. He's, all he did was direct. He wasn't DP. He didn't do the music. And speaking of music, Junkie XL does a really cool score. I'll definitely buy it.
Yeah, well, see, I love Junkie XL's music scores, though, tend to be great. I mean, even Mortal Instruments had an amazing score. So
Mortal Engines, yes. Yeah. I actually got that score on your recommendation. It is really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great score. It really fits the film. and it's just an enjoyable, cool cinematic experience. I think a lot of people are I don't know what it is about like when these big movies come, people are just they're so prone to predict failure. But I don't know
I mean,
why.
we'll see. You know, I mean, the thing is, a lot of people thought Aquaman was going to be a flop, and it's ended up making $1 billion. You know, so
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing too, is that like Aquaman, this is an untested
well, we'll see.
franchise.
I think this is going to be. I think it's. I think this one is a little bit harder of a sell than Aquaman is, though.
Maybe. But this is the good thing is that it's coming out in February.
Yeah.
It also is out in February.
No,
I think
it's that's
actually
true.
it's
If it
very
was,
smart.
if people liked it, it could potentially be word of mouth. Yeah, word of mouth could
I
be.
think word of mouth is the strongest form of advertising there is, and I think that Alita is what I think that's what will sell it. But here's what I think: this is my early prediction. I think that people are really going to relate to the Alita character.
Yeah.
I think that they'll see it and they'll really like her because she's just a very likable character. She's very engaging and she's just not a one note character. She's very much got different things going on here, and I think it's compelling to watch. And I just really dug that aspect. I felt there was numerous times throughout the movie where I was like, this feels like a Cameron movie. And we're not going to get a fucking Cameron movie that doesn't have blue people in it for maybe ever. So it's kind of nice to be able to revisit that kind of feeling. And that doesn't mean it's perfect. It's got flaws. Like I said, I think it left me wanting a little more at times, and I think it's just over 2 hours. It's not super lengthy, but I would have taken a little more. I would have liked a little more time. But what I do like is it's unpredictable in terms of what happens to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Some of them meet some very violent ends that you don't quite anticipate, and some of them take on fates that you never thought if you've read the comics. And we sat down, we talked with the digital creators at Weta, and man, these guys, like, I mean, we talked to the actual people that did the designs and the all of the fucking digital work that you're seeing in the film. And these people, they are fucking super pumped and excited about this film, and they were very into it in a way that, like, we went to their workstations and they showed us stuff like how they built it and everything, and it was just cool not only to see that stuff but to see how passionate these guys are. Like, they don't think the way we do in terms of when they're making a movie. You know what I'm saying? They're very very into what they're doing. Like, whether you see the movie and think, oh, it was just a bunch of shit, or if you loved it, like, it really comes down to like these
cool.
guys that are sitting at these computers and they're like so fucking passionate about it,
Yeah,
and they're showing, like, they were showing, there's one of the digital artists, he had clips from the Alita graphic novel, and he had them up on the screen with the video footage, the actual video footage, and he was running through it. And he's like, so this is where we pulled from this and this and this. So if you're a fan of the graphic novels, there's literally
Cameron is
straight from
hard.
Obviously Cameron is,
yeah.
I mean, and it's a project that Cameron's been 20 years, like, he's had this like sitting on his desk. So and Cameron was involved in this production. He didn't just write the script, hand it off to Rodriguez and say, do your thing. He's been involved from like top to bottom. Cameron has seen the movie multiple times. Like, he's very involved in Alita. Even though he's focused on Avatar, he's been like consulting and looking over everything and to kind of help, shape it and to offer his notes and whatnot as they go through it. So
I'm excited to see it now. I mean, I always wanted to see it, but I'm pretty excited to see it now.
I look forward to your thoughts, man. I thought it was just really cool. And yeah, it was just fun. It was a fun, cool movie. And I really appreciate like the digital effects. They really takes you into the world. Like, it's very, you get a lot of very wide, vast, expansive shots. And again, like, the action is just fucking cool. It's just cool action, like, I wish there was a little more at the end. I wish it was a little more, just because I go into spoiler territory.
Yeah, don't.
Further. So I don't want to do that. So, but yeah, it's really cool. And also, Jennifer Connelly looks fucking amazing.
Well, she always does. She always does.
There's a scene where I will spoil this. Well, not really a spoiler, but where she's in like thigh highs and like lingerie walking around, and I'm like, this does not suck at all.
Yeah,
This is okay. And
gorgeous.
she still looks I think she actually looks better now. Like
Yeah,
I've had a crush on Jennifer Connelly since fucking Career Opportunities back in the day, and she just looks amazing.
she is a beautiful woman, though.
Absolutely stunning.
So, moving on, because we're passing an hour and a half now.
What?
I just want to give a quick rundown. So, a couple of things happened over the holidays. Besides Bird Box, one of the big things everybody was watching on Netflix was the new Black Mirror Bandersnatch, which everybody knows is like a choose your own adventure type thing, right? Like an interactive movie. Now, Bandersnatch, you haven't seen, right, Paul?
No, I probably
Okay.
never.
Well,
Unless you sell me on it now.
it's a cool. I mean, no, it's a really cool concept because it is like basically I think it's a technology that Netflix has been toying with for a long time, and I think it's definitely an avenue that they want to take. And I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up eventually doing, these big budget feature films that are like choose your own adventures or interactive movies to a certain degree, right? And I
Right.
think it's a technology apparently that they've been using for years in kids programming. I wouldn't know because I don't see it, but it's pretty seamless when you watch it. Assuming that your firmware is up to date. I watched it on my Fire Stick and it worked really well. It's not jagged. There's no jumps or anything like that. Like it's pretty seamless
Hmm.
and it was fun. Like because it's really well done. It's Black Mirror. It's David Slade directed it. It's great cast, really well acted, good 80s score, and you can even like choose the music at times. And that was really cool. And you could do all kinds of stuff with it. And it could literally the movie could either last like the typical Black Mirror episode, like something like between like about an hour or something, or it could literally go on. You could watch it for about 3-4 hours because you'll always be given opportunities to go back and try something different and take another
Oh yeah,
path
yeah.
and keep going, and it just ends. Now the thing about it is that it's not one of the best Black Mirror episodes, and I think it's pretty simple because I think that's by design because I think they're just introducing people to the technology, and I think it's probably not quite there yet that they can make it really sophisticated. But I think as an introduction to that technology, it's pretty fascinating, and I think it's something that people overall enjoyed. And I would not be surprised if Netflix does more stuff that way. And I think the day could potentially come where you could have like a big tentpole movie that they do and have it being interactive. And I think that's a niche that you could do with Netflix that you could never do in a theater. Like imagine you got something on the scale of Avengers, and you could choose which character lives and which character dies. I want to see it this way. I want to see it that way. I mean, it's not artistically satisfying because if I go to see a movie like Avengers or something, I want that person's take. I want to see this is the
Right.
story, this is put together, but it's an interesting alternative. And I think that could potentially be something like I imagine them doing like a Star Wars that way. And all the fans that bitched that they didn't like that one thing happened. Well, you
Yeah.
watch
I
another.
want to. I want a Last Jedi version of that.
You can just watch it another way if you want, and I could see that potentially happening one day. But I thought it was pretty interesting. Um,
So wait, how much time did you invest in it?
oh, I would say probably about 2.5 hours.
And so
Eventually, you get sick of it though, and I did, and it was kind of like okay, after a while, I was like, all right, I feel like I watched my girlfriend and I, we both really enjoyed it, but after about 2.5 hours, it was like, all right, time to move on, and then we
yeah.
watched Bird Box.
I think
Stepped on Netflix. Yeah,
I think that's probably the thing is like how do you keep
yeah.
it's cool that you have the options, but how do you keep people engaged, you
Still, that's
know?
pretty good though. I mean, it's pretty good. I saw a couple of different endings, and that was, that was I was invested in it for a while.
So did you find were the endings satisfying or did you like watch
Yeah,
them like
yeah.
oh, watching
For the most part, they were. Some are more satisfying than others, but if you look at like the flow charts that have like the different endings, they're all kind of similar in a way. Like you get to the same place. There's about 5 endings, and some of them are very different, but some of them are satisfying. Some of them aren't because you know that you fucked up, and that's not what it was supposed to be. But it was.
Wait, so there's more of like a right ending?
Oh yeah, definitely. And the
Oh,
thing is, when you have a wrong ending, you get like the opportunity to go back and go another place. Like there's one really early on, like a choice that you make really early on. Either you work for the company or you don't work for the company. And the choice that you think is the right choice, work for the company, goes to like this really abrupt ending. And then you have to go back and do the scene over again with the other choice. And that's, not really interactive in that way because there is only the one right choice that they wrote clearly.
Yeah.
But you know, but it's
why even offer the other
yeah.
choice?
Well, it's in the infant, it's in its infancy, but I could see it potentially, you know, being an interesting niche for Netflix to get into. And I think that they're a really creative company. The fact that they're investing in these kind of different avenues, you know, because that's really what they have to do to stay cutting edge and to stay popular. But you know, it's Netflix. It seems like they know what they're doing so far.
Yeah. Well,
speaking of movies, though, I saw a couple others that are opening up just really fast. So The Upside. This is a weird one because I saw this back at TIFF in 2017, right?
yeah, it's like
And
an older
yeah,
movie.
yeah, and I remember going to see it with my girlfriend. She'd come to visit me at TIFF, and I told her, I said, I really have to go see this movie because I don't think it's ever going to come out. And she was like, "Why?" Because I said it's a Weinstein Company movie, and they always end up shelving their movies for like for ages. And I didn't realize that what happened was going to happen. You know, that Harvey Weinstein, that whole company, would go down within a month's time. You know, and the upside, what happened to that one was that was clearly like a Harvey Weinstein passion project because it had his fingerprints all over it. You know, even just Nicole Kidman being in it. You know, people don't like to say this now, but she was like his good luck charm. She ended up in all of his movies. And Intouchable, the movie that it's a remake of, was like one of his favorite movies and one that the studio put out and really pushed really hard. So and this was in the works for years. And that he was trying to get it just right, and you know, and it was clearly like a prestige movie for them, and they were going to put it out for awards consideration, but then that all went up in smoke when the Weinstein stuff started happening, and it got bought by Styx, STX, not Styx,
Oh
but
yeah.
STX. And because you know the Weinsteins had to sell off all their movies, and some stuff still has never seen the light of day, like The Current War with Michael Shannon and Benedict Cumberbatch, which I missed at TIFF, which is too bad because I feel like that's another one that's going to come out. It's going to take a really long time for it to come out. A movie that I saw at TIFF this year, actually, Hotel Mumbai, was another movie like that and got bought by Bleecker Street. These are all good movies. You know, Weinstein, I don't like him as a person, but he was a good producer and he made good movies. Um, and the upside, you know, when I saw it, I always liked it. I thought it was really, I liked that movie Intouchable, and I thought this was a really solid, serviceable American remake. You know, it sticks close to it, but they did change things a little bit. They made it a little bit more dramatic than Intouchable was a little more corny. This one's a little bit more serious. Bryan Cranston is excellent. Basically, it's about this multimillionaire who's paralyzed in an accident, right? And
Right.
he wants to die. He's suicidal, and then his caretakers hire this guy to come in and be his assistant, and he wants to die. So it's his choice who he hires, and he turns down all the nurses, and he hires the most incompetent person that he could find, right? And it's Kevin Hart, who's just out of jail and stuff like that, because the idea is that this guy's going to be such a fuck up, I'm going to die. But then Kevin
Well, there you go.
Hart's but then Kevin Hart's character eventually, you know, turns out to be more responsible than he thought and tries to, you know, snap him out of his funk, and they become friends. Like they become unlikely friends. And the
Right.
thing that kind of worked about it is that, you know, it's Kevin Hart plays it fairly seriously. There's a lot of jokes, but he really, you can tell he's really trying to get up to Cranston's level. And Cranston's a great actor, and Cranston apparently improvised a lot and would throw stuff at him that and Hart was able to react to that well because Hart's a comedian, you know. So they were able to play really well, the two of them, and that's why the movie I think really works because their relationship is believable more so I think than the relationship in the French version. Because when I watched it, I was like, I feel like Bryan Cranston and Kevin Hart could maybe be friends in real life. That's the thing. So that's why it kind of worked. Um, and I liked the movie. And it's funny because everybody thought it was going to tank. And then it came out this weekend and it's number one. And it doesn't surprise me at all because the audience that I saw it with at TIFF absolutely loved it. And I could see this becoming like a word of mouth hit. Like, I think that this is going to be a solid grosser for that company. You know, it might not make a ton of money, but you know, the only thing is nobody's really doing press for it because there's probably so many uncomfortable questions about, you know, Harvey Weinstein and all of this. And, you know, and there's also controversy about how Bryan Cranston isn't really paralyzed, and that's, you know, that's bullshit. But anyway, it was a pretty solid movie.
Well, the only way he can play that role is if he gets
Yeah,
paralyzed for real.
seriously.
Such a
Um,
method actor.
but then the other long delayed movie that came out this weekend because it's a January dump month was Replicas with Keanu Reeves.
One
And
of your
this is
top favorites of the year so far.
well, I mean, this is a movie that should have never hit theaters. I mean, it's a VOD movie on par with, you know, other Keanu Reeves VOD movies. And it so clearly was just like a disposable piece of junk for everybody involved that it would have, if they had put it out in VOD and you'd seen a picture of a robot and Keanu Reeves, people would have bought it and it would have done fine on VOD. But then Entertainment Studios, for some reason, decided to pay $4 million for it and put it out in 2,000 theaters, which makes no sense because it doesn't play well on the big screen at all because the budget's very low and the CGI is terrible. There's not a lot of action in it. It's very simple, and it's just not a good movie. It's really dumb. But if I'd seen it on VOD, I probably would have thought, oh, this is a bit better than average for a VOD movie because some of those are really terrible. Because at least Keanu Reeves is in the whole movie, and it's not like he just did 2 days on the film. It is a Keanu Reeves movie, but it's not good. It's not good enough to be in theaters, and it opened in 12th place. And I just don't understand why, they would even subject Keanu Reeves to that, because it makes him look like his career is like he's all washed up, and he's still got John Wick going and stuff like that. But it's just they're trying to sell it as like a sci-fi John Wick, and it is not sci-fi John Wick, and people aren't stupid.
It looks just like Johnny Mnemonic.
It's not even though. I mean, it's not even as like actiony as Johnny Mnemonic. That's a dumb movie, but it's got a. At least it was a Keanu Reeves action movie. This is it's a family drama. And it doesn't really, there's robots and stuff, and there's a little bit of action, but it's not. Anyway, it's just silly. It's a very silly movie, and it should have never hit theaters. If it had hit VOD or Netflix or something like that, I don't even think it would have been good enough to be a Netflix original movie, to be honest. But if it had hit VOD or something by like a smaller company like Saban or something like that, I think people would have been all right with it. They would have thought, oh, this is a bit better than average. But it really doesn't work theatrically, and people should not go see it. It's a waste of money.
All right, Chris. So the big question now is, how much did you get paid to say that?
Oh boy. Well, clearly nothing. That's why I said it though, because my checks never came from Entertainment Studios. And I mean, you want a positive review from Bumbray, you got to pay the price, baby. I ain't cheap. Yeah. So Paul, I'll tell the story. So Paul took some heat on Twitter after his tweets about Battle Angel, Alita Battle Angel came out because everybody predictably, because he was flown to New Zealand to be on the set and to go to the Weta workshop and the premiere and everything, people assumed that it was some kind of payola, that he was that he had to go and agree to give it a good review if he was going to go. And I could tell you, having done to several of these myself, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes I went to, and in London, and Roma I went to a trip for New York for that movie. That never happens. It just doesn't happen. You can give it a bad review, they don't care. Usually if they fly you somewhere, they're very confident in the movie, so usually it's probably going to be a pretty good movie, but not always. I mean, I was on the set visit for Independence Day, the sequel, and it was
God, that was such a bad movie.
God awful. Nobody's going to give it a good review. I didn't see any good reviews from any of the people that were on the set. It really doesn't work that way, and people seem to have such a hard time understanding that. I mean, even people that were defending you, Paul, were saying the only people that pay for reviews are Disney.
It's just, I'm just like, nope.
That's not what happens, though. And it's just, I do feel that some critics might feel somewhat pressured to give something a good review because of the access that they get from the studio, and but
that's a personal thing. That's not a paid for thing.
It's not something that they would ever tell you, though. That's never.
Well, and that would be an assumed thing by them too. Yeah. So if they're feeling that way, it's completely them feeling that way. There's nobody saying like on the side like, hey, you better say nice things about this, or you may not get invited to the next one. I'm just putting it out.
I gave Mary Poppins a bad review, and I'm still getting Disney invites, and a lot of critics gave Doctor Strange bad reviews, and they still kept getting invited to their set. But we don't get invited to anything from Marvel, so it's not. We have no skin in this game to a degree, but it's still I still get my press screening invites and stuff, and nobody ever asks me to send them my reviews or anything. They see them, they see the reviews, I'm sure, but they don't. They don't really care. That's the thing. They're invested in the movie's success, and they want you to. It's just. I mean, Doctor Strange people gave bad reviews too. Solo, a lot of people gave bad reviews too. That received very mixed reviews. And it's just not how it works. The studios don't pay, because the thing is, if they did and that ever came out, That would be enough to potentially sink a studio.
It would,
Especially
but
in this
not only
day and
would it
age.
sink the studio, it would sink not only that one critic, it would sink all critics.
Yeah.
Because and here's the weird thing is that and really I'm not a critic. Like I'll review maybe 5 to 10 movies a year. And usually it's just because I've seen them early. And so it's like, well, I'm the first one that's seen it, so I'll be the one that will review it. Or if it's just something that I want to review that I think would be fun to review, but I would never call myself a critic. But I mean, hey, if that's what you want to call me, fine. But that's not what I am. I'm just a entertainment journalist and a writer, and that's that. But the bottom line is, none of us get paid for an opinion.
Yeah, we don't.
Now, I think there are influencers like,
Sure.
Instagram and YouTube influencers.
Yeah.
I think those people, they're not so much paid for an opinion, they're paid for their time.
Yeah.
Like they get paid to come to do certain things and they're to like basically make a production.
Yeah.
But for us, we're
critics.
No, they're not critics. They're influencers. It's a very different animal, and they get paid, I think, for basically just giving any kind of press. They're what the studio is buying there is they're buying they're kind of buying an audience in that sense, because you have like influencers that have like millions of followers, and they're going to talk about the movie.
Yeah, like that douchebag Logan Paul. He's a good example.
Well, I don't know if he does movie stuff or what. I don't think he does. I don't watch Logan Paul. But so maybe, I don't know, maybe there's some confusion in terms of what an influencer is versus a journalist, like a legit journalist. But listen, the fact that people think that if I give a glowing review, or I mean, these were just my thoughts on Twitter, I wouldn't call it a review, but why? Because they flew me to fucking New Zealand? Listen, first off, like 24 hours there and 24 hours back in an airplane is not exactly a good time. And you're only there for 3 days. And those 3 days that you're there, it's pretty much your time is like, it's like nothing but schedule. It's like, you got to be here at 9, and then you're going to do this and this and this and this and this. And by the end of the day, mostly you're just drinking or eating in the hotel bar. That's it.
Look, it's not hard work, and it's fun. It's super fun, and we're lucky that we get to do it. And it is a perk of the job.
It's mostly fun, but it's still work.
It is a perk of the job. It totally is.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, dude, I had Robert Rodriguez playing a guitar while I'm in a mocap suit walking down the thing. But if the movie had sucked, I still would have done that. I still would have enjoyed that experience. But at the same time, that wouldn't have influenced me. Like, oh, well, I'm just gonna lie and say that I love the movie.
And
since I did this,
and you didn't say that you loved it either. You said that you really.
I did. I said I really enjoyed it.
You had some issues with it that you vocalized, and that's it. And that's that. If you were being paid to say something, you would not have said that you had some problems with it.
Oh no! I mean, and probably they would have said, but I don't know. I think that people have this natural inclination to believe conspiracy theories.
Yeah. Oh yeah. God.
It's like it just brings them comfort in some weird way that makes them think that
that they don't have control over things. Yeah.
Yeah. That if somehow somebody is doing something behind the scenes, then it's like they can live with that. They can't live. It's like people just deny the truth. They can't live with the truth. They love the lies. But listen, I'm not lying. I don't lie. Like, I'm going to say it straight, and I'm going to give it straight, like exactly how I feel. And I'm not the only person here. I'm going to fucking break the mold here. I'm not the only person that's going to really enjoy Alita.
Sure.
I'm not. And there's going to be people that won't like Alita. That's fine. I already know one of them that didn't like it, and that has seen it. But bottom line is, people are going to like this movie. That doesn't mean everybody is, but I did. So fuck off. This is what I mean. So fuck off. If you think I get paid, go fuck yourself. Because I want you to come look at my fridge, look at my bills. And if you think that a trip to New Zealand is in some way going to sustain my fucking life, you're out of your goddamn mind. In fact, I lost a week with my kid because I took this trip. Because that week that I was in New Zealand, I didn't get to be with my kid because that's my week. So guess what? My ex-wife gets 2 weeks with my kid. And it's a loss for me. I took a hit on this to me because I mean, maybe some parents don't love their kids. I love my kid, and that's precious time for me. And I lost that, and I gave it up for this work trip. But that happens, that's a job, that's work, But I wasn't paid for that. Give me a fucking break. You know, oh, they gave you a fucking Weta Digital book. Oh my God, I'm gonna sell it on eBay. So, and that's the other sad thing is like in the last couple months, I've had to start selling shit on eBay because I needed the extra money.
Yeah.
Like I'm selling my personal shit, which I have some cool shit, but it's like, I mean, I need the money more than I need another
Yeah.
fucking statue in my house. So it's like, fuck. I mean, I got to start selling some stuff. I need the extra money. And this job takes up so much of my time. It's very difficult to take on another job,
Yeah.
you know? So it's like, fuck, I got to figure something out here. So, you know, anybody that thinks we're being paid, seriously, go fuck yourself because you're a fucking moron. Nobody's getting paid to give an opinion on a movie. Like it's just fucking dumb.
Nobody
Conspiracy
does
theory
the
shit.
film criticism thing for a living for the most part. You know, it's not a
Dude,
money maker.
like,
You know,
exactly. Nobody. That's the other
you know,
thing.
as
Nobody gets that much money for it.
everybody
It's
knows
crazy.
this. You know, everybody that's always asked me about this. You know, how to start a career. You know, I just got an email today about it. Look, the thing is, I have another job. I do. I have a day
That's
job,
what I was just gonna say. I was
and
gonna say, Chris,
I wouldn't
what
be.
else
I
do you
wouldn't.
do?
I work at a radio station. I write commercials, and I'm also a freelance writer for real estate companies and stuff like that. And it's just I'm a writer, but it's mostly copywriting that I do, and
Exactly. And does that sound like
I'm a teacher in Montreal, and I teach, and that's that.
exactly? And does that sound like somebody that's fucking on the take?
No,
Like, why would you be doing all that
no,
stuff
of
to like
course not.
keep up fucking the look? That's be the next one. Like, oh, it's all an act.
Anyway, this is
Fucking
annoys
great.
me.
It is. It's so annoying. And every time, and I see it, I'll see it in articles. I'll see it. Like we posted that's where the initial comment came from, actually, was from the article on JoBlo. Because I told Steve, I was like, hey, I looks like I'm the only one that tweeted my reactions to the movie uh, that had gotten out that at that point. I was like, so let's, at least do an article because we can put it out there. So share with readers what we did. And somebody was like, "Oh, I hate these early reactions because they're always like influenced and paid for." And I was like, "Oh my fucking god, here we go!" Like people really believe that. Like you're fucking crazy. You're fucking crazy.
I'm
Doesn't
running a
happen.
I'm running a bit tight on time, Paul. So let's get to the
Fuck
preview.
off.
I have a TV spot to do, man. I'm a man in demand.
You really are. So let's just skip our top 5 most anticipated.
Oh no, but I had a couple though I wanted to say. Look.
All right, fine. So we were going to give our top 5 most anticipated for 2019 movies and TV. Chris,
Okay, so mine are definitely Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is at the top of the list for me. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it's between that and The Irishman. Scorsese's The Irishman, which I hope comes out this year. I mean, who knows? But it's Netflix. It could come out next week for all I know. You never know.
That's true.
But anyway, The Irishman is and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood are for sure the two that are at the top of my list, and everything else is kind of secondary. But I would say right after that is probably Joker, which I think is going to be great. Todd Phillips' Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix. I'm really excited for that. So that would be number 3. And then I would say number 4 for me would probably be Knives Out, the Ryan Johnson movie, because I just think that's one of the best casts in recent memory. You got Michael Shannon, you got Chris Evans, you got Daniel Craig, and you got the one and only Don Johnson, plus Jamie Lee Curtis, right? And so that ain't bad.
Donald Johnson.
And then I have to say, another movie that I'm really excited to see, and I just talked about them earlier, how much I enjoy them, is I really love the Fast and Furious movies, and I'm really psyched to see Hobbs and Shaw. I liked those characters. I like the dynamic between the two of them in the last Fast and Furious movie, and I want to see a full movie like that with Idris Elba as the villain. So I'm pretty psyched to see that. And my girlfriend wants me to mention Cats because she's excited to see Cats because she loves cats and she's excited to see Cats.
Meow.
Yeah.
I think for me, the strange thing is the most anticipated 2019 project for me is the final season of Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Oh, I'm binging that over the holidays. I'm halfway through season 6 now.
Oh wow, you're right up
it's
there.
So good. Yeah.
So for me,
it's fantastic.
Game of Thrones is my all-time favorite TV show of all time, forever.
I'm actually really excited for the final season because I will be caught up, and I'm looking forward to going and seeing some of the episodes when they show in the IMAX theaters, because we have a really nice IMAX in Montreal, and
Oh yeah, I'll for sure go.
I'm kind of
If they actually do that, I will go.
I'm kind of hoping to go see a couple of those there, maybe the premiere and maybe the finale.
It'd be so amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's I mean that's my favorite show. I've watched the whole season, the whole series twice now, and
Yeah,
it
it's
is
a
just such a rewarding rewatch.
yeah,
Like
it's
it's
a really watchable show too, and there's so much
so
going
great.
on. Like, so you can always kind of, focus on new characters, and I find my character favorites always kind of shift. It's always depending on the episode.
I'm an easy sell. I'm a Jon Snow guy, but I love so many other characters. I love the Hound. I
Oh
love
yeah, the Hound is great. The Hound is really
yeah.
good. I
He's a complex, interesting character that I really, really like.
I really I really like it's funny, Ian Glenn as Jorah.
Yes, I was just gonna say Jor. He's another one of my
He's
favorites.
a
I love.
pretty, it's another one that's he's had a really kind of cool arc as it's gone over the story,
Yeah,
line.
sure.
And I'm starting to really like Sam, who I hated at first.
Yeah.
I love Daenerys, of course. Jon Snow, yeah, obviously he's great. But Tyrion is probably my favorite.
Tyrion is he's amazing.
That's a great performance, Peter
I
Dinklage.
think that is probably will be Dinklage's like most memorable, best
Well,
ever.
I mean, I just don't understand how you could possibly get any better than that, though. I mean,
It would be.
it's
It's
hard.
such a great,
It is like
great,
it's an
wonderful role.
iconic part, I mean,
So beyond that, which is just God, there's so I'm actually anxious about it because there's just who knows how it's going to end, and there's just everybody has their it's going to be bittersweet. It's not going to be some fucking happy ending where everybody's cheering like motherfuckers gonna be dead.
yeah.
That Avengers Endgame is next up for me. That is just I love these comic book movies. I love Marvel and DC, obviously, and for this, the culmination of 10 years of storytelling and it all being wrapped up with this film, I'm hyped, super hyped. I'm also very excited for It Chapter 2. I loved it. I thought it was just great, and I'm super fucking pumped for that. I'm very excited to see Shazam. I'm very excited to see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I would say John Wick Chapter 3 is probably the rounding out of that, because those movies have just gotten progressively better, and they were just surprising as fuck from the get-go. But
Yeah.
I'm really pumped to see like what they do. So
Yeah, me too.
you just know, with having Chad Stahelski back and directing, and just I feel like it's just there's no way it's not an entertaining fucking romp of crazy, outlandish, brutal action, which is rare. We don't get that very often.
And they're always beautifully shot too. The cinematography is always really good on those movies.
Yeah, and they're going like worldwide in this one,
Yeah.
so they're kind of like going all over the place. So that's my top 5. So real quick, we'll hit a few of these questions here. Somebody want to know about my hate for Hurt Locker. My old blog spot got taken down where I had my whole article about it, so I'll repost it somewhere, but I'll give you a better explanation. Corey wants to know the most miscast actor or actress you've ever seen in a film.
Oh, I have to say Dane DeHaan and Valerian. For me, that's the most miscast part ever.
Yeah, not very, like, for someone that's the lead. I
Yeah,
can agree with that
the
one.
action lead, who a girl in every port, and this is this dynamic badass character. To me, that's unbelievable miscasting.
Man, we were just talking about something. I will say this is one that has been on my brain. I really wish somebody else would have been cast in The Mummy that sucked than because Tom Cruise just did not belong in that film.
Yeah, sure.
Like, I feel like his pedigree to that was a step down.
Yeah.
And I think the movie actually would have fared better with like a younger, different actor altogether. I think it might have actually played better because in a way, I think Cruise almost got in the way of the film of that too, because he was playing somebody that he doesn't play anymore. He played like somebody 20 years younger than him.
Yeah, and he doesn't. Yeah, I know. Yeah, he was beyond that.
Yeah. Regilio wants to know most overrated, underrated of 2018. For me, overrated Black Panther. underrated. Fuck, it's quite a few.
You know, for me, overrated. This is going to be controversial, but I thought The Favorite was slightly overrated, and I like that director a lot, Yorgos Lanthimos. I loved The Lobster, the first half of The Lobster, and I really loved Killing of a Sacred Deer. So I was very excited for The Favorite. I found it wasn't crazy enough, though. I was expecting something completely insane, more insane than it ended up being. I liked it. I really liked it, but it just wasn't, for me, the best movie of the year, like people have been saying. And I have to say, for underrated, there were like you said, Paul, there were a ton of them.
So many.
I mean,
I think Upgrade
was a big one. Yeah, that was definitely a big one.
I think Upgrade is the big. There's quite a few, but I think Upgrade just because of its like limited release and I think if there's any movie of 2018 that you didn't watch that you probably should have, I would say Upgrade.
I'd say another one that was great, but it was really critically well received, but it's been totally overlooked by most of the awards shows is Leave No Trace. I saw that for the first time this week. I thought that was great.
With Ben Foster.
Yeah, I thought that was really good.
I didn't watch it.
Yeah.
Maybe someday. Armando wants to know, do we really need a Coming to America sequel? Do we need it? No.
No, but it's Craig.
I'm interested. Craig Brewer directing.
Craig Brewer, that makes me interested. Craig Brewer, and the fact that he's doing the Dolomite movie with him too. Like clearly they kind of, Eddie Murphy's got a director that's engaging him. I think it'll probably be a lot different than what people are thinking it's going to be. I think it'll probably be a pretty like racy, like dark film, so that's Craig Brewer. I mean, I love Craig Brewer. So I'm if he does it like, really kind of raunchy and stuff, I could see it being really good. And I'd love to see Eddie Murphy come back with some worthy movies because I love Eddie Murphy, but he just hasn't done anything for me in a long time that I really liked. And I'd love to see Eddie Murphy come back in some movies that are worthy of him. I really would. Because he's such a seminal figure,
I love Eddie Murphy.
I mean, I grew up with his movies. That run of his in the 80s. I even really like The Golden Child. I know it's not popular to say, but I like that movie.
He's just a funny, cool dude.
He is. He's fucking funny. I really hope that he comes back, that the Dolomite movie is as good as I'm hearing. And I'm Facebook friends with one of the writers, Larry Krasutsky, and everything I've seen looks really cool. And I really hope it's good, and I hope that Murphy is able to come back. What's promising though is it sounds like both of these movies are hard R's, so that's what's going to be cool to see Eddie Murphy in that mode again.
For sure, I hope it. I'm down with it. Yeah. I'm not opposed to it. I mean, what has Eddie got to lose at this point?
Yeah, nothing.
May as well do it. So that's going to wrap it up for us this week. Sorry we went so long. We had to kind of do some catch up. We're going to try and keep it a little lower on the time frame going forward so that we're not just, I know not everybody has that much time and you're kind of going back and forth to catch up with it. But we'll toy with a couple different things in the coming year. And let us know what you guys would like to hear us talk about, or if you have any format suggestions or anything like that, let us know on Twitter. Also, we will be starting up our Instagram page this week. So we would certainly ask that you guys give us a follow. And what we'll be doing there is we'll be posting little mini clips and suggestions and things like that, and just overall fun stuff that will relate directly to things we talk about on the show.
It's all just going to be photos of Paul in the gym.
Well, that's my regular Instagram.
Yeah. I'm going to be posting photos of my cat.
And pictures of Chris's cat. Yeah. So there's that. But it will be fun, and we'll have some fun content on there for all of you guys that enjoy the show. And I think it'd be a nice little just fun addition to the program. Yeah, that's about it. And then we well, if you're watching this now, you've seen our new logo, our new design for season 2. I'm also looking at possibly doing some merchandise this year. If you guys are interested in that, maybe nice. Let us know if you're down with, if you guys want to like a hat, a t-shirt, or a print, or a fucking pop socket or something fun, because I know that stuff can be cool. If you're I know there's only 13 fans, but all 13 of you want stuff, then see what I can work up. Maybe a coffee cup, something cool. But, I got some ideas. I got some thoughts, but let's hear from you guys. I mean, ultimately, you guys be the ones buying it, so just let me know. And, make some cool quality shit. Just share the beard and the bald love. That's what we really want. I want you to guys represent. All 13 of you.
Yeah, lucky 13.
Wear the beard and the bald shirt to the movie. I would wear a beard and the bald shirt to the movies, obviously.
Get it tattooed on my face.
I'm not going to go that far.
Yeah.
Anyways, thanks for joining us. We will talk about some new releases next week. What comes out next week? Fuck.
Oh, Glass.
Oh, Glass. Fuck.
I have my tickets to see it Wednesday. My girlfriend has never seen Unbreakable, so we're watching that tonight.
Wow.
We're watching that tonight. I actually haven't seen it since like 2002, so I'm pretty psyched.
I haven't seen it in a while too. So we'll definitely talk about Glass next week. And also the Shazam set visit report is coming up on the 23rd, I think, will be dropping. So expect to hear lots more about Shazam as that comes up, as I can unleash the chains of the knowledge that I have about the film. Although they have specified certain things from the set visit they don't want us to talk about. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Figure out how I have to work around some of that shit. But that is coming up. And that's it. So thank you again for joining us. We're looking forward to a very healthy, fun, funny, and cool season 2, which basically is for the whole year of 2019. So that's a hell of a season, but hey, that's just the way we do things. So make sure that you go over to iTunes. Please give us a rating, even if you're just hitting the stars, or you can give us a review. We would love a review, any kind of review, even bad ones. I'd prefer not. I'll pay you to give me a good review. Just kidding. I won't do that. I can't even buy spaghetti. So just give us a review, and it would be much appreciated. And subscribe and give us all that. It helps out. It helps with the numbers. You know the numbers game. Come on. We're giving you a free show because we love you guys and we love to do it. We love to do it, right, Chris?
Yeah.
Chris has got to go because he's gonna take his pants off and talk to some fucking TV show to make some actual money.
That's Canadian.
That's all about
Canadian money.
We need money for Canadian money.
It's useless.
Don't you guys just barter and just offer to mow each other's lawn in exchange for some groceries or something?
Well, pretty much.
Hey. All right. That's fucking crazy. So we will see you guys next week. Beard and the Bald are back.